Chapter 23:18. The change in Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing's attitude towards Yi Tianyun was very obvious. From treating him as an equal before, to being extremely respectful now, he really treated him as a follower. This change was completely due to the change in his cultivation base. Strength was the prerequisite to being recognized. Without strength, even if he was recognized on the surface, he would not be recognized in his heart. "Come here, all of you." Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing waved his hand, and soon, two figures appeared in front of him. They were none other than Zhan Yilan and Divine Star Venerate Yulan. The two of them had put in a lot of effort in the previous battle, and they had also put in a lot of effort. Yi Tianyun still had a good impression of them. "Greetings, Divine Star Venerate." After they came over, they smiled awkwardly, feeling very embarrassed. They had come to find Yi Tianyun because they wanted a super powerhouse to lead the way. Having a Divine Star Venerate powerhouse to open the path would definitely be much better than having a few people with low cultivation bases. They had seen Yi Tianyun's power. With such a powerful force, if they followed him, it would be very safe, and their chances of success would be much higher. "It seems that you have already made preparations," said Yi Tianyun with a smile. "Sir, they also want to leave together. Since Sir wants to leave, let's go together. This way, we will all have an additional guarantee. With Sir's powerful strength, any strong enemy will be no problem." Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing flattered on the side. "There's no need to say anything else. You guys worked so hard before. Even if you didn't tell me, I would have asked for your opinions." Yi Tianyun smiled. If they had been bystanders before, they would have definitely ignored them. "Thank you, Divine Star Venerate." The two of them were extremely surprised. At least, they did not leave a bad impression on Yi Tianyun. "This time, no one came, right?" Yi Tianyun looked at Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing and asked. "No, really no one came." Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing waved his hand repeatedly, indicating that there was really no one, but it caused the other two to roar with laughter. "All right, let's go now." Immediately after, Yi Tianyun brought them and soared into the sky, leaving Scarlet Moon Star. The area they were heading to was rather remote. Even if they had a clear direction, they wouldn't know what would happen along the way. The reason why one had to be at least a Divine Star Venerable in order to leave this place was mainly because the journey was too dangerous. One shouldn't think that a Divine Star Venerable was truly invincible. That was only invincible in a safe area. In the unknown areas outside, one might not necessarily be invincible. Perhaps in the next second, he would completely leave this world. Normally, it would be nothing more than the appearance of a spatial maelstrom or the attack of some starry sky sea demons. These were all headaches, especially the starry sky sea demons. They had encountered them in the lower realm, and now they were here as well. It was just that their cultivation wasn't that ordinary. It was common for them to have the cultivation of a Divine Star Venerable. This was why they didn't dare to travel casually. One had to be at least a mid-stage Divine Star Venerable to be able to move alone. Generally speaking, no one would act alone. Having more people to help would undoubtedly be much better. After locking onto the direction, Yi Tianyun brought the others and flew forward at top speed. He was purely relying on his physical body to fly. Just relying on his physical body to fly was also very shocking. 4 streaks of light rushed forward. According to the map, this is the way." Yi Tianyun took out the astrolabe. There was a complete route on it guiding them to the next planet. Exploration of the outside world had never stopped. It was said that this route had been drawn a long time ago by many pioneering explorers. In the end, they had obtained such a perfect plan. Could be said that this route was the safest route. However, this safest route didn't mean that there was absolutely no danger at all. Instead, it was much better than the other routes that had a slim chance of survival. Yi Tianyun couldn't help but sigh at this map. Such a precious map can be obtained at any time, It's completely open to the public, and you don't even need to pay any money to get this precious map. As for whether it was true or not, Tianyun wasn't very sure. In any case, whether it was true or not, he had to give it a try with this map. Without this map, there wouldn't even be a route. They would have to cross the river in the dark along the way. After they made a turn, they suddenly saw a pitch-black road with many skeletons on it. These skeletons didn't just belong to cultivators. There were also the skeletons of giant beasts and oceanic demons lying on this road. They suddenly stopped and were stunned by the situation in front of them. There was actually a pitch-black road in this void. In fact, this wasn't some great path. Instead, it was the meteorites floating around. After being shattered into powder, they gradually solidified into a path. It looked very strange. The most terrifying thing was that there were many corpses on it, including many of the corpses of cultivators. At a glance, it was obvious that these corpses belonged to Divine Star Venerates. What's going on? Divine Star Venerates Mei Qing and the others were dumbfounded. How could they have encountered such a terrifying scene on the road? How much do you know about the situation on this road? Tianyun held the astrolabe in his hand, but his spiritual awareness spread out rapidly in all directions, locking onto every corner. We don't know anything at all. We only know that we can reach our destination through this road. We don't know anything else. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing looked at the corpses, his face slightly pale. They all felt the aura of a Divine Star Venerate from these skeletons, which meant that those who died here were all Divine Star Venerates. At a glance, there were at least thousands of them, which meant that thousands of Divine Star Venerates had died here. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Could there be some kind of danger all around? At this thought, their hair stood on end, and they felt a little afraid. Let's go. Tianyun didn't hesitate. He took them and flew towards another road. They didn't have to go this way. They could go another way. The situation in front of them wasn't very clear, so leaving was the best choice. His cultivation wasn't low, but he didn't dare to be careless. Just as they were about to leave, the pile of skeletons suddenly moved. One by one, they climbed up from that road, then walked over while swaying their bones. You're here, and you still want to leave? The skeletons suddenly spoke in human language, which scared them all. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing and the others' faces turned pale. They glanced over casually. These skeletons had all stood up. Even if they didn't have the power they had when they were alive, they could still erupt with at least half of their power. There were thousands of skeletons, which meant that there were thousands of Divine Star Venerates. Chapter 23:19. There were so many Divine Star Venerable skeletons. It wasn't that they were cowards, but how were they supposed to fight against so many of them? Thousands of Divine Star Venerable skeletons, even if they were skeletons, had strong combat power. If they surrounded them, wouldn't they just be waiting for death? Especially when they thought about it carefully, the situation was definitely not simple. So many Divine Star Venerables had died here, so there must be a huge problem. If they didn't leave now, it would be too late for them. Tianyun took the lead and fled to the side. Mei Qing Divine Star Venerable and the others also erupted with all their strength and rushed forward. This scene was really too frightening. Even facing the ancient giant beasts wasn't this frightening. If thousands of Divine Star Venerables besieged those ancient giant beasts, they would definitely be blasted to pieces. Now that they had all died here, it was enough to show that the situation was not simple. It could even be said to be extremely dangerous. I said, "Don't even think about leaving now that you're here." Suddenly, many skeletons kept surrounding them. They didn't come from the side path, but from behind. Obviously, they had been lying in ambush, and were waiting for them to escape. D***eminent, there are so many here too? When they saw the many skeletons swarming over, their expressions became even uglier. There were also many skeletons here. There were dozens of skeletons surrounding them, all of them at the Divine Star Venerable level. Even if they couldn't stop them, it wouldn't be a problem to delay them for a while. As long as the skeletons behind them surrounded them, everything would be over. Kill our way out. Tianyun took the lead and charged forward. His power directly erupted, and the power of the 8-color Emperor Dragon was displayed. At the same time, 10-star venerable level weapons flashed. As he charged forward, the surrounding skeletons were all shattered into powder. His terrifying power could even kill a living divine star venerable in a second, let alone these skeletons. As he charged forward, he easily opened up a path for these skeletons. They couldn't even stop him for a breath's time. This is the 5-color Emperor Dragon's inheritor? The skeleton was suddenly stunned, then started laughing. I didn't expect to meet the 5-color Emperor Dragon's inheritor. I can't let him go. The skeleton laughed heartily, and the countless skeletons behind it scattered before piecing together to form an incomparably large skeleton in an instant. This was a giant skeleton that was pieced together from thousands of divine star venerables. Its battle prowess suddenly increased by a large margin, especially with the addition of a cold flame in its heart, as if it had an additional soul. After transforming into such a terrifying giant skeleton, its battle prowess instantly soared. From the aura it emitted, it was clearly at the peak of the late-stage divine star venerable realm. In fact, it was much stronger than a divine star venerable at its peak. This had probably reached the level of a half-step heavenly star supremacy. With so many skeletons pieced together, how could its power be weak? Damn it, there's such a perverted ability? When Mei Qing God Star Venerable and the others saw this, their expressions changed drastically. It was already heaven-defying enough to be proficient in it, yet he could still unleash such an ability? It seems like there's someone manipulating the situation from behind the scenes. If we can drag him out, we'll be able to get rid of him. Tianyun continued to lead them forward, but the skeleton's speed was even more astonishing. With a single step, it easily closed the distance between them. The main reason was that Mei Qing God Star Venerable and the others were too slow. They were definitely much slower than a half-step heavenly star supremacy, so they were easily caught up. The enemy is in the dark while we're in the light. I can't find out where he is at all. Mei Qing God Star Venerable and the others kept spreading out in all directions, but they still couldn't find any traces. At that moment, Tianyun suddenly stopped and quickly turned around. He stepped on the void beneath his feet and shattered the stars. Immediately after, he turned into a huge stream of light and blasted directly at the flames on the chest of the giant skeleton. Because it was too sudden, the skeleton only reacted when he was about to reach the giant skeleton. It quickly waved its palm and slapped over, but everything was too slow. By the time it reacted, Tianyun had already rushed over and dispersed the cold flame. The cold flame was dispersed, and the entire giant skeleton directly exploded to the side with a bang. Many divine star venerable skeletons were blown into powder by this explosion. Hundreds and thousands of divine star venerable skeletons were destroyed just like that. This was the disadvantage brought about by the fusion. If the core was destroyed, then the other skeletons might also be destroyed. The effect was very obvious now. Just one blow had destroyed most of the skeletons. Normally, it would take a lot of time to attack the skeletons one by one, especially when they were surrounded and attacked fiercely. It was even more difficult. Now that it had fused, it made it much easier for Tianyun. He then used a surprise attack to counterattack fiercely, and in the end, he easily destroyed a large pile of divine star venerable skeletons. Ah, damn it, you actually destroyed so many of my treasures. Do you know how much effort I spent to collect so many skeletons? At this moment, a figure emerged from the side. It was not a skeleton, but a cultivator who looked like a skeleton. It was definitely not an ordinary cultivator, and it was the first race that Tianyun had seen. Bone Spirit Race? Tianyun's appraisal eyes clearly saw the other party's detailed information. Bone Spirit Race. one of the extremely ferocious ancient races. They have the ability to control skeletons. When they see experts, they like to kill them and then make them into controllable skeletons to enhance their own strength. You actually recognize me? The bone spirit race's eyes were filled with scarlet light and murderous intent. Then all the more I can't let you live. This bone spirit race's cultivation was also not low. He was a late-stage divine star venerable. If he did not have such a powerful cultivation, he really would not be able to make so many skeletons. After all, these skeletons were all divine star venerable powerhouses when they were alive. If he wanted to kill them, he would definitely need a powerful cultivation. Is that so? Then why don't you give it a try? Etienne's eyes were cold. He had a hunch that many of these skeletons came from Red Moon Planet. This meant that some divine star venerable powerhouses who were looking forward to going to the New World had all died here. Either this map was real, and the bone spirit race was lying in ambush here, or the map was fake, and they had deliberately lured them here to become the skeletons of the bone spirit race. Forget about the former. If it was the latter, then it would be serious. This kind of strategy was simply equivalent to destroying the future of Red Moon Planet here. Chapter 23:20. The bone spirit waved his hand. Suddenly, countless wronged souls rushed out of his body and rushed toward Etienne from all directions. Almost in an instant, they surrounded Etienne's escape route. There was basically no way for him to escape. The wronged souls that rushed over let out shrill screams, which were very ear-piercing and seemed to penetrate one's soul. When Etienne saw this, he said with a strange expression, "Is this your killing move?" Not to mention Etienne, even Divine Star Venerable Mei Qing and the others had strange expressions when they saw this. If it had been any other ability, they would have been more cautious. Who knew that it would release a bunch of wronged souls? The number of wronged souls was extremely shocking. There were at least 1,000 of them. Among them, there were 700 to 800 Great Star Venerables, dozens of Divine Star Venerables, and the rest were Star Venerables. It had to be said that the number was not bad, but it was much worse than what Etienne had controlled before. The key was that what was the point of releasing wronged souls? That's right, this is my killing move. Let these wronged souls bite you until you collapse. Ha ha ha. The bone spirit laughed loudly. His eyes were full of madness. It was as if he could foresee Etienne being bitten by countless wronged souls until he screamed in pain. With so many wronged souls, even a divine star venerable cultivator would have a hard time. This was the principle of ants biting an elephant to death. If this is your killing move, then I'm really disappointed. Etienne looked at him with a pitiful gaze. This was the same principle as when someone used the Dragon Clan's Star Dharmalaksana to act arrogantly in front of him. He had a holy soul bloodline, which was a level stronger than the bone spirit. In terms of controlling skeletons, he was definitely no match for him. However, in terms of controlling wronged souls, the bone spirit in front of him was definitely no match for him. Disappointed? Don't worry, you won't be able to speak later. The bone spirit showed a contemptuous look. He felt that Etienne was so pathetic that he didn't even know that danger was coming. Is that so? Then I would like to see how you can make me speechless. Etienne did not run away. Instead, he walked towards the bone spirit clan. He looked very leisurely and did not take the vengeful spirits surrounding him seriously. Arrogant! Bite him! The bone spirit clan snorted, raised his hand and pointed forward, controlling the ghosts to rush towards Etienne. Soon, countless wronged souls rushed toward Etienne. When the wronged souls got close to Etienne, they were stunned for a moment and then swarmed toward the bone spirit clan. Instead of biting Etienne, they turned around and surrounded the bone spirit clan. What's going on? The bone spirit clan was dumbfounded. He felt that his control over the wronged souls had disappeared all of a sudden, and he could not sense them at all. The next moment, All the vengeful spirits surrounded him and bit at him like crazy. "Get out of my way! What are you doing? Didn't I tell you to attack him?" The Bone Spirit clan waved his attack, and constantly shattered the wronged souls that came close to him. But these wronged souls did not understand. The order they received was to keep attacking the Bone Spirit clan. Soon, a fish that escaped the net fiercely drilled into his body, and then rushed to his soul. "Ah! Damn it, what's going on?" the Bone Spirit clan screamed. The severe pain from his soul made him completely stunned. "I was the one who controlled them. Why did they suddenly counterattack? I have said that if this is your killing move, then I am very disappointed. You can control the wronged souls, so can I, and it seems that I can control them better than you." Tianyun smiled slightly. Now he did not need to do anything. He just needed to watch the result from the side. "Ah, how is it possible? You are a human. How can you control the wronged souls? These are the wronged souls that I have worked so hard to subdue. How can you control them?" The Bone Spirit clan still could not believe it, but the fact was in front of him. He could only believe it. What he could do now was to constantly fight back and destroy the wronged souls that he had worked so hard to capture. This made him both angry and heartbroken. These were the wronged souls that he had spent a lot of effort to cultivate. Now that they were destroyed by him, how could he not feel heartbroken? But now was not the time to feel heartbroken. If he did not resist, the result would be his death. As he continued to fight back, more and more wronged souls were killed. Correspondingly, he was also attacked many times, and his screams were endless. His face was even more pale. There was no blood in it, and now it looked even paler. His soul was constantly being eaten. It was impossible for the situation to get better. Finally, when he broke a hole and wanted to escape, Tianyun quickly blocked in front of him. "I also want to say something. Since you are here, don't think of leaving." Tianyun smiled at him. The smile looked normal, but in the eyes of the Bone Spirit clan, it was so terrifying. "You are the one who will die." The Bone Spirit clan suddenly burst out a powerful force and bombarded Tianyun. Obviously, he was prepared. Tianyun had caused him to lose so many wronged souls. In his rage, he had chosen to endure it. He knew that when he escaped, Tianyun would definitely stop him. Therefore, at this time, he immediately burst out his strongest move. Dead Bone Spike. As he waved, his arm turned into a huge spike covered with countless skeletons, and there were screams coming from the skeletons. At this time, his arm was like a cave of thousands of demons, and there were countless demons sealed in it. The gigantic spike pierced through the void, piercing towards them. Wherever it passed, it would be accompanied by ghostly wails and wolf howls, as well as a terrifying red light. If one was pierced by it, even if they didn't die, they would suffer an extremely terrifying curse. "Don't worry, I haven't had enough fun yet." Tianyun raised his hand and a large number of wronged souls pounced on it. There were hundreds of divine star venerable wronged souls among them. After the countless wronged souls pounced on it, some of them immediately melted into nothingness or were sucked into the spike as soon as they came into contact with it. It was very obvious that if one was stabbed, their soul would be sucked out. The reason the Bone Spirit clan could collect so many wronged souls should be related to this. However, it was meaningless to Tianyun. He did not intend to do it himself, but relied on the wronged souls. What's going on? Facing the many divine star venerable wronged souls pouncing on him, the Bone Spirit clan was horrified. He did not expect Tianyun to bring so many wronged souls with him, and they were all at the divine star venerable level. As he waved his hand fiercely, some of the divine star venerable wronged souls were pierced. However, there were too many of them, and many of them drilled into his body and frantically gnawed at his soul. He had suffered quite a bit of soul damage before, and now that he was going all out to attack, he was much weaker in terms of defense. After Tianyun threw out a bunch of wronged souls, he was immediately hit. Chapter 23-21. When the bone spirit was almost completely devoured by the vengeful spirits, he entered a semi-conscious state. At this time, Tianyun flew over and grabbed his head. You monster! The bone spirit still had a little bit of consciousness, but he couldn't resist. His soul was seriously injured, and it was difficult for him to move. Monster? That's better than you being a pervert. Tianyun didn't follow him. Gather? That word hook? Crow Yunchu? Yen Chai Zun Mi Zun? Tu Gu Sun Zun? Shin? Barricade cup roast old sheath? Grain changing hexagram? After searching his memory, the Bone Spirit clan, who still had a little bit of consciousness left, muttered, You monster, you can actually search my memory. Bang! Tianyun squeezed his head and didn't bother to explain anything to him. Ding! Successfully killed a member of the Bone Spirit clan. Reward: 5 billion star energy, 3,000 kill points. Obtained the Bone Spirit bloodline, can control skeletons. Land of Bones, rare. Bone Stone, rare. Land of Bones, can teleport to an area full of skeletons. Degree of danger unknown. Bone Stone, can be used to create extremely powerful skeleton puppets. When he killed the Bone Spirit clan, the reward he received was quite generous. Directly obtaining the Bone Spirit clan's bloodline meant that he could also control these skeletons. Combined with the Land of Bones, he didn't have to worry about not having enough skeletons to control. Not bad, the reward is generous. There was no surprise in Tianyun's eyes, only coldness. Sir, what's the situation? They all felt that Tianyun's expression wasn't right. They all flew over and breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. They had finally gotten rid of this guy. Otherwise, another pile of skeletons would appear, and that would be really difficult to deal with. That map of planet Crimson Moon was made by this guy. He deliberately lured a divine star venerable over and then killed him. Even though Tianyun had expected this, he still felt that it was very cruel when he found out the truth. He had trained so hard for so long, but he had entered the tiger's mouth and become one of the many skeletons. Especially with the methods of the Bone Spirit clan, they would definitely be extremely ruthless. Their deaths would definitely be very painful. They had also guessed it, but when they confirmed it, they were still very shocked and even a little angry. Didn't many of their seniors die in the hands of this guy? All of them had the hope of becoming stronger, so they left Red Moon Star and went to other areas. Who would have thought that they would die at the hands of the Bone Spirit clan? This guy deserves to die. Jean Elan's beautiful eyes flashed with anger. One of my seniors came here a long time ago and also flew here according to that map. Seems like he was also killed. They had good relationships with many Divine Star Venerables, and when they thought about how their friends had died in this guy's hands, they felt extremely furious. If the Bone Spirit clan hadn't died, they would have tortured them again. Yes, many of our Red Moon Star's experts died in his hands, and it was very painful. Tianyun sighed deeply. Not only our Red Moon Star, but the surrounding planets similar to Red Moon Star have also suffered from this poison. This guy was just waiting for a rabbit to come. He spread out the map and waited quietly, and there would be a steady stream of Divine Star Venerables coming. Those Divine Star Venerables all came with a vision of a beautiful future, but who knew that they would all be killed? The gap in cultivation made it so that none of them could escape. The Bone Spirit clan's cultivation was astonishing, and it was easy for some inexperienced Divine Star Venerables to get rid of them. According to the Bone Spirit clan's memories, none of them could escape, and all of them were killed. After all, his cultivation was already strong enough, and with the help of so many skeletons and vengeful spirits, it was basically impossible for him to escape. This bastard. Divine Star Venerable Mei Qing's eyes were red. He couldn't help but feel sad when he thought of his friend. Sigh, fortunately, we had the help of our Lord. Otherwise we would have also been killed. Divine Star Venerable Yulan sighed, still in a state of palpitation. The Bone Spirit clan just now was really too powerful, so powerful that it made them feel powerless and unable to resist. Yes, if the three of us had come by ourselves, we would have really died here. Divine Star Venerable Mei Qing smiled bitterly. If they had really come, they would have come here based on this astrolabe. At that time, they would definitely encounter the Bone Spirit clan, and only death would await them. They had no other choice. After all, there were no other maps to choose from, unless they wandered around randomly. Thinking about it carefully, it was fortunate that they weren't in a hurry to come over. With Yi Tianyun leading the way, it was really much safer. They had heard that this place was very dangerous, but they hadn't expected that the real danger was not the sea demons, but the Bone Spirit clan, who were also cultivators. No wonder so many Divine Star Venerables hadn't come back. They had all died here, so how could they come back? All the families were looking forward to the return of their patriarchs, but the real situation was that they had died on the way before reaching the next planet. Now that he has been dealt with, all that's left is to draw the real map and bring it to Red Moon Planet. This kind of situation won't happen again in the future, said Yi Tianyun. Yes, we have to correct this mistake. When we really arrive at Hidden Dragon Planet, we will draw the map and bring it back to Red Moon Planet. They had already decided that without a map, the powerhouses of Scarlet Moon Planet would really be like headless flies, scurrying around aimlessly. Okay, then let's go to Hidden Dragon Planet now. Yi Tianyun led them to another area, which was completely different from this one. Originally, the Bone Spirit clan had deliberately led them to a remote area, so how could it be the real route? Now that he had the memories of the Bone Spirit clan, of course he knew where the real route was. As for the wrong route of the surrounding planets, he would let them solve it themselves. Yi Tianyun had no obligation to help. However, after helping to deal with the Bone Spirit clan, the rest was to explore more. At least there was still hope of finding Hidden Dragon Planet, so they wouldn't die here. As they flew all the way, they headed to Hidden Dragon Planet at an astonishing speed. After flying for a while, they suddenly saw an incomparably huge spirit boat shuttling past in front of them and then stopping by the side. Hey, do you need to take a spirit boat to Hidden Dragon Planet? At this time, someone came down from above and looked at the four of them with a smile. His eyes sparkled as if he had smelled the scent of money. Chapter 23-22. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up when he saw the spirit boat floating over. If he could take a Star Venerable spirit boat, it would definitely shorten the journey by a lot. The Hidden Dragon Star was too far away. According to the Bone Spirit's memory, it would take several months to get there if they flew at full speed. And that didn't include running into other dangers on the way. If they ran into other dangers, the journey would be even longer. Now that they had a Star Venerable spirit boat, things would be different. A Star Venerable spirit boat was much more precious than a Star Venerable weapon. They were not on the same level. Except for the fact that their levels were the same, they were not on the same level at all. In terms of price, a Star Venerable spirit boat was equivalent to 20 Star Venerable weapons. That was why it was so scary. It was too expensive to build a Star Venerable spirit boat. It was impossible to have a Star Venerable spirit boat if one was not rich enough. If you fly alone, you won't be able to get there without a few months. And that's under the assumption that there is no danger. We are quite safe here, and we can fly very fast. We can go there on the way. I don't ask for much. As for the four of you, you just have to pay a Star Venerable treasure. Wu Yang thought for a while and gave them a suitable price. Wu Yang's cultivation was not low. He was a Divine Star Venerable in the late stage. Since he could stay on this Star Venerable spirit boat, he must not be simple. A Star Venerable treasure? They were shocked. Wu Yang was asking for too much. On the Red Moon Planet, they had worked very hard to get a Star Venerable treasure. Even if they were Divine Star Venerables, they could only get 2 or 3 Star Venerable treasures at most. Now, they had to pay a star venerable treasure just for one trip. It was really a high price. That's right. A star venerable treasure for 4 people. What, you think it's too expensive? Wu Yang looked at their shocked faces, shook his head, and said with a smile, "That's right. It depends on which fallen planet you are from. Star venerable treasures are indeed rare. I'm in a good mood. If it were someone else, I would ask for at least 1 star venerable treasure for each of you. Do you believe me?" This, Mei Qing's celestial star venerable and the others looked at Yi Tianyun. The real decision-maker was still Yi Tianyun. Wu Yang also looked at Yi Tianyun. It was obvious that Yi Tianyun was the one in charge. In terms of cultivation, he was indeed the strongest amongst them. "Wu Yang, did you help those country bumpkins out of kindness again?" At this moment, a beautiful woman walked out leisurely. She looked at them with disdain. What's the point of helping them all the time? And they only took a star venerable level treasure. It's such a loss. Putting everything else aside, he should at least accept 2 of them. 1 was too little. Everyone else accepts more than 4, and it's up to them if they want to do it. "Little sister, how can you say that?" Wu Yang was a little displeased. One look at them, and you can tell that they are loose cultivators who have just come out to explore the world. It just so happens that we are going back on the same way. What's wrong with bringing them along? It's up to you. Anyway, the spiritual boat is yours. You can do whatever you want. Wu Wanxin snorted coldly. Then she turned around and walked back. Wu Wanxin was obviously angry. It seemed that she was not from an ordinary family. She was the daughter of a great family. It was obvious that she did not care about a star venerable level treasure. Even if it was 4 star venerable level treasures, she would not be willing to take others along. On the contrary, Wu Yang was quite nice. He had a good heart and his price was fair enough. Yi Tianyun realized that they were not deceiving him. Wu Yang was quite nice. He was willing to help others, and the price he offered was even lower. Although it was on the same way, how many people would be willing to take others along? It was quite dangerous to take someone on a spiritual boat who was neither a relative nor a friend, and they did not know each other. Under normal circumstances, people would not bother to pay attention to them. They would just fly over directly. When they were flying to the hidden dragon planet, Yi Tianyun sensed some spiritual boats flying by, but they did not bother to pay attention to them. Only Wu Yang's boat stopped. This gave him a good impression of Wu Yang. Wu Yang was really nice to help in such a situation, but his younger sister was different. She was proud and looked down on them. Even though their cultivations were about the same, their statuses were different. Of course they looked down on each other. Even if their cultivations were the same, their bloodlines, martial arts techniques, and the use of weapons were also important. It was easy for a gap to widen in these aspects. A high level of cultivation did not necessarily mean a strong cultivator. Sometimes, a person with a special bloodline could turn the tables easily. For example, the Bone Spirit clan could control ghosts and skeletons. It was quite easy for them to deal with opponents at the same level. It was just that they happened to run into Yi Tianyun, who was their nemesis. Otherwise, many practitioners would not have been able to escape from him. "I hope you don't mind my younger sister's words. That's just how she is." Wu Yang was embarrassed. He had said such harsh words. If it had been anyone else, they would not have been happy. Everyone has their own way of thinking. I can understand. Yi Tianyun could not be bothered to lower himself to Wu Wanxin's level. He smiled and said to Wu Yang, "Since you're so kind, let's take the spirit boat to Hidden Dragon Star. I'll leave it to you. Don't mention it. When we're outside, we should help each other." Wu Yang smiled and gestured for them to follow him onto the spirit boat. When they boarded the spirit boat, they saw that the interior was luxuriously decorated. But the most shocking thing was that there were many guards inside. These guards were all at the Divine Star Venerable level. Although they were only at the early stage, there were many of them. There were more than 10 of them. No wonder they let people board the boat so casually. With so many guards, who would dare to mess around? Tianyun swept his gaze over them. It was obvious that they had just returned from a mission. Otherwise, they would not have brought so many guards with them. These guards were not simple. They just stood at the side and looked at them warily from time to time. If Tianyun and the others acted rashly and did something wrong, they would definitely be attacked by them. Make yourselves at home. There are many seats over there. Feel free to take a seat. Wu Yang was quite cordial. He gestured for them to sit on the chairs and wait for them to arrive at their destination. Thank you, my friend. Tianyun was not here either. Gather? Remember? Close? Chiao? Luo? Seed? Knock? Wave? Right? Pull? Chiao? Nua? About drought? It seemed that they were really on the way. They were busy with many things. In Tianyun's opinion, he had offered to give them a star venerable level treasure to boost their self-esteem. They did not have to owe each other favors, which comforted him a lot. If they rode on the spirit boat for free, they would owe each other a favor. Wu Yang did not want them to owe each other favors, so he offered a very low price. It was a simple deal. Chapter 23:23. Tianyun and the others stayed there obediently, waiting for their destination. In fact, they couldn't even walk around casually. With so many guards watching them, they could only move around in this small area at most. They probably couldn't move around in other places. It didn't feel good to be watched all the time. These guards weren't deliberately watching them. They just happened to be there, so the guards subconsciously patrolled along the way. They didn't have any special intentions. Of course, if they acted rashly and wanted to do something bad, they would immediately take action. I don't know what kind of big family this is, but there are so many powerhouses just like that. Divine Star Venerates are really worthless here. When Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing saw that the guards in front of him were all early-stage Divine Star Venerates, he immediately felt a little depressed. They had painstakingly cultivated to the Divine Star Venerate level, yet they could only be regarded as guards here? Don't think that way. It's not that easy to break through to the Divine Star Venerate level. They're probably going to carry out some kind of mission, so the cultivation level they brought can't be too low. If it's too low, they won't be able to complete the mission at all. You can't see that they look tired and injured. It's obvious that they just finished a big battle not long ago. Tianyun observed very carefully. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing and the others could see it too, but they felt a little frustrated, so they didn't have the mood to observe for a while. That's true. It seems like our mentality is still too ordinary. Divine Star Venerate Mei Qing and the others laughed dryly. On Scarlet Moon Planet, they could do as they pleased, and no one dared to disobey them. Here, they encountered a large number of Divine Star Venerate. Although they were already prepared, they still felt a little frustrated when they really encountered them. Through the records in the books, they knew that the outside world was wider and had more amazing resources. However, if they left, they wouldn't be able to dominate there. Even if their status wouldn't be low, it wouldn't be as high as it was here. Actually, it's about the same. Tianyun recalled that a long time ago, when he came up from the lower realm, he had seen many so-called god emperors. They could only be considered ordinary here, belonging to the lower ranks. This treatment was really hard for many cultivators to accept. Of course, it wasn't so exaggerated here. Wu Yang was a descendant of a big family, and his cultivation was also at the Divine Star Venerate level, which was enough to prove that the difficulty was not low. As time passed, they chatted casually and discussed their goals when they went to Hidden Dragon Planet. They couldn't possibly go to the Hidden Dragon Planet without a goal, could they? In any case, they had nothing to do here, so they casually discussed. However, they didn't discuss for long when suddenly, there was a dong sound. The entire spirit boat seemed to have hit something hard. Everyone inside swayed, but they quickly stood up. Tianyun and the rest quickly stood up. Even though the spirit boat was shaking violently, they could still stand steadily. It wasn't just them, even the other guards were the same. All of them stood firmly on the spot with solemn expressions. Under such circumstances, he must have encountered some special circumstances. The guards, in particular, quickly surrounded the exit, waiting to move out. Wu Yang, I know you're inside. Stop hiding. At this moment, a low voice came from outside. At this moment, Wu Yang and Wu Wanxin walked out of the spirit boat with solemn expressions. When they saw Yi Tianyun, they smiled. My friend, I'm sorry. Something happened, so I probably won't be able to take you to Hidden Dragon Planet. I'll send you out now. Brother, you still care about this at a time like this? Wu Wanxin was so angry that she stamped her foot, extremely dissatisfied. What can't I care about? Whatever you have to do it to the end. Wu Yang said sternly in a teaching tone. Wu Wanxin didn't listen to him at all. Wu Yang shook his head and didn't say anything else. He raised his hand to open the spirit boat's door and sent them out. As soon as they walked out, a mocking laugh came from the side. You're finally willing to come out? I thought you'd be like a turtle hiding in its shell, unwilling to come out. Yi Tianyun looked in the direction of the voice and found that a large group of divine star venerates had surrounded this place. They had set up an inescapable net, sealing this place tightly. It was very obvious that they had come prepared. Moreover, they had predicted that Wu Yang would pass by here, so they had set up a sealing formation around them so that they couldn't escape. The man in the lead seemed to be very familiar with Wu Yang. His cultivation base was also in the Divine Star Venerate late stage, and he faintly exuded an extremely dangerous aura. He was probably a ruthless person with extremely strong abilities. This could be seen from the few cultivators standing on the side. Each of them looked extremely murderous, and they were obviously not easy to deal with. Sakinen, it seems that you really dare to make a move? Wu Yang's eyes were cold. Why wouldn't I dare to make a move? Obediently hand over the supreme grass you obtained, and I'll let you go. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Sakinen waved the giant blade in his hand, filled with murderous intent. Wait, we'll talk about this later. These few people are just passers-by. I picked them up along the way, and they have nothing to do with our Wu family. Can you let them go first? At this time, Wu Yang was still pointing at Yi Tianyun and the others, asking if he could let them go. Sakinen swept a glance at Yi Tianyun and the others, then sneered. No, as long as you hand over the supreme grass, we'll leave immediately. We definitely won't touch a single hair on your body. Sakinen refused without hesitation, and basically didn't think much about it. You're harming the innocent. This matter has nothing to do with them at all, Wu Yang said in a low voice. Haven't I killed a lot of innocent people? Sakinen licked his lips and sneered. Also, don't treat me like a fool. If I let them go and find reinforcements, wouldn't my efforts be in vain? This time, it was useless for Wu Yang to say anything. If it was someone else, they wouldn't let Yi Tianyun and the others go. Only God knew if they had connections. What they were most afraid of was letting them go, and a large number of reinforcements would come. How could they fight then? I'm sorry, I've implicated all of you this time. Wu Yang smiled bitterly at Yi Tianyun and the others. It seemed that they really couldn't leave. It's okay. If that's the case, let's fight together. Yi Tianyun and the others didn't stand by and watch. Instead, they decided to resist Sakinen together. Yi Tianyun roughly understood the situation from their conversation. It was nothing more than Wu Yang's operation this time to find the supreme grass. Sakinen received the news and came over to surround and reap the benefit. This was undoubtedly the most shameful thing. Chapter 23-24. You must be careful when the fight starts. That was all Wu Yang could say. The other party was not weak, and they had come prepared. He would not be able to stop them. However, Yi Tianyun and the others' cultivation was not low, especially Yi Tianyun's. It should not be a problem for them to protect themselves. Tianyun wanted the supreme grass, but it did not mean that he would participate in the fight. Wu Yang's character was not bad, and he was worthy of his admiration. Even at such a time, he did not forget to ask the enemy to let them leave first. Our luck is really bad. I didn't expect to encounter such a thing. May Qing God Star venerate and the others sighed deeply. They had not even reached Hidden Dragon Star, and they had already encountered the Bone Spirit clan. Now they were being intercepted. They had thought that they had met a good person who could easily get them to Hidden Dragon Star. Who knew that he would have a treasure? In a situation where one had a treasure, it would indeed greatly increase the degree of danger. Therefore, it could be said that this situation was inevitable. That was the supreme grass, a miraculous medicine that could help people break through to Star Venerate. Who would not be tempted? If anyone broke through to Star Venerate, they would really be in charge of a region. Even though there were many resources outside, miraculous medicines like this were still very rare. If it could be found everywhere, Star Venerates would have been everywhere. Bad luck? Tianyun smiled and shook his head. That may not be the case. He looked around. Who knew, these people might be fat sheep. Since they had come to snatch the supreme grass, they might have prepared other miraculous medicines. Otherwise, they would not have been so eager to snatch Wu Yang's supreme grass. Tianyun did not know what Wu Yang's real identity was, but he guessed that it could not be too bad. He was definitely from a big family, and he might even be a young master. Under such circumstances, the other party still dared to make a move. Either he had a shocking background, or he was taking a gamble. If Sakinen broke through to Star Venerate, would he be afraid of the force behind Wu Yang? From their words, they could tell that Sakinen had crossed paths with them before. Fat sheep. They were at a loss for words. Only Tianyun would say that. Thinking about Tianyun's strength, and then looking at them, they really were fat sheep. The enemy wanted to slaughter them, but Tianyun wanted to slaughter them. At the same time, Wu Yang and Sakinen faced off against each other. Their gazes collided, and the space around them distorted. Wu Yang, I'll ask you now, are you going to hand over the supreme grass or not? Sakinen took a step forward, his body flickering with terrifying lightning. He gripped a high-grade heavenly venerate treasure tightly in his hand. His battle prowess was astonishing. The other people that Sakinen had brought along also stepped forward. The formation around them flickered, ready to attack at any time. They had already made all their preparations. When they truly erupted, it would definitely be an astonishing might. At that time, they would either die or be severely injured. They had all come prepared. If they couldn't even do this, they might as well kill themselves. Wu Yang's gaze was ice-cold. They had worked so hard to obtain the supreme grass. Who would be willing to hand it over just like that? Brother, why are you still following them? Luanpi Chisel? Benthic swimming painful grasshopper stands upright? Lemon rot bottle? Hydra? Castrate? Inlay? Play? Hide Z Yao Chisel Ridge Realm Falcon? Even? Puh? And scattered nest trace skeleton rake locust lotus tiller skull? Dirty feather beautiful quasi bosom? Ox? Ao e zhong rebuke oxim? Bibi ren e chang still? Si bao? Let's not talk about Huan Yi's successor. Tianyun frowned. Was Wu Wanxin trying to harm them? Wu Wanxin was still so arrogant at this time. The other party had already set up an inescapable net. Even if the Wu family sent people to rescue them, was it really good to provoke the other party now? Little sister, what are you talking about? Wu Yang was a little angry. Wasn't she trying to provoke the other party to make a move? Is there anything wrong with what I said? They're just a bunch of trash. They're used to being idle, yet they want to snatch food from our Wu family. How naive. Wu Wanxin crossed her arms and looked at them contemptuously, as if everyone other than her family was trash. I've long heard that the eldest daughter of the Wu family is very arrogant, but I didn't expect it to be true. You've spoiled her too much. She doesn't even know the current situation. Her cultivation has really gone to waste. Even a dog wouldn't be so arrogant, let alone not be able to observe the situation around it. Sakanin was not angered. Instead, he looked at her with a sad face and said, "Little sister, aren't you going to take a closer look at the situation around you? Not only am I stronger than you, but I've also set up the Saros Divine Array. Have you heard of the Saros Divine Array?" Saros Divine Array? What's that? Wu Wanxin didn't quite understand what kind of array it was, but after thinking about it, her expression changed slightly. Saros Divine Array, is it the Divine Array with a maze? It seems that you're not too stupid. You know a little about the Saros Divine Array. Yes, I have the Saros Divine Array here. I've spent a lot of effort to set it up here. Not to mention escaping, even if you were to fight, you might not even be able to see our real bodies clearly. Sakanin looked at her with disdain. Of course, the Wu family has put you on a pedestal. You haven't seen many fighting methods, right? Didn't you see how cautious your brother is? On the contrary, you're still disdainful. It's really sad. Suddenly, he flicked his finger, and a few swishing sounds were heard, followed by a scream from the side. Several guards exploded into a few clouds of blood mist. When they looked in the direction of the sound, they could only see a shadow flickering in the void. The real body could not be seen clearly. This is the effect of the Saros Divine Array. Little sister, can you see it clearly? Sakanin looked at Wu Wanxin contemptuously. I don't think you can see it at all, right? Not to mention you, even your brother may not be able to see it clearly, right? You even let the guards break the array. I have to say that you're really ignorant. Your Wu family has such an ignorant existence. Is it really quite capable? Wu Wanxin quickly took out the token and crushed it. A divine light shot up into the sky. There was no doubt that this was a communication token, and it was a very powerful one. It had a strong penetrating power, and could penetrate many seals to finally transmit the message to the Wu family. But in front of this Saros Divine Array, it seemed so small. After rushing up, it would be circled around and guided into a void. How could it be transmitted to the Wu family? TSK, I almost forgot to tell you that your communication token is also meaningless. Do you really think I'm an idiot? This place is not far from your Wu family. If you really transmit the message, then you'll lose the opportunity. Sakanin's expression became more and more ferocious. Chapter 23-25. Wu Wanxin had always looked down on them mainly because she had all kinds of support. Not only did they have a lot of magic weapons, but they also had the Wu family as their backing. Who dared to provoke them? As long as they did not provoke some big forces, they could basically do whatever they wanted in this area. Under such circumstances, Wu Wanxin became more and more arrogant and looked down on other cultivators, especially those who were not from Hidden Dragon's Star. She looked down on them even more. Now, she was slapped in the face. Her method of asking for help was meaningless as it was absorbed by the Saros Divine Formation. Without this preparation, how would Sakanin dare to do this? After all, the Wu family was not far from here. If she asked for help, they would come quickly. They would not have to wait for too long. Keep trying. Don't you have a lot of communication tokens? They are specially made and each one is very precious. You can't use them at will unless it's a critical moment. Sakanin motioned for Wu Wanxin to continue using it and was not in a hurry to attack. If possible, he just wanted to take the supreme grass instead of fighting them to the death. Even with the assistance of the Saros Divine Formation, if they really fought, there would definitely be casualties on their side. Therefore, if they kept pressuring the other party to hand over the supreme grass, everything would be easy. Wu Wanxin gritted her teeth. This was the first time she encountered such a thing. Wu Yang, you should teach your sister a lesson. Don't rely on the Wu family for everything. Without the Wu family, you are nothing. Sakanin snorted coldly. Not to mention Wu Wanxin, in particular, made him very unhappy. Not to mention Sakanin, even Yi Tianyun felt a little unhappy. He had seen many arrogant young ladies like Wu Wanxin. They all relied on their power to look down on others. My sister's situation is not up to you to teach her a lesson. Wu Yang stared coldly at Sakanin. Especially those who want to take treasures from others. If you have the ability, go and pick it yourself instead of taking it from me. TSK, that's quite reasonable. But now, the one with the bigger fist is the one in the right. I think my fist is quite big. Either I die here or hand over the supreme grass. Make your choice. Sakanin waved his fist. His eyes were filled with killing intent. If they really wanted to fight, he would not hold back either. The battle prowess of Sakanin's side was indeed far superior to Wu Yang's side. They had 3 late-stage Divine Star Venerables, 7 or 8 mid-stage Divine Star Venerables, and early-stage Divine Star Venerables were even more numerous than Wu Yang's side. From the situation that could be seen with the naked eye, it was basically a one-sided suppression. In particular, he had the Saros Divine Formation. Just a little bit of it was enough to shock Wu Wanxin. They really couldn't see the attacks clearly. It seemed like no one was attacking, but in fact, someone was hiding in the void. The greatest effect of the Saros Divine Formation was concealment. If a spellcaster were to hide in the void, they would appear to be one with the void. It would be extremely difficult to find them. Apart from that, the Saros Divine Formation could also block the effects of voice transmissions. In fact, it was not against voice transmissions, but against any kind of energy. The effect of communication was actually to use an extremely powerful force to break through the area and finally deliver the message to the clan. Compared to ordinary voice transmissions, it was much more effective. It could break through many restrictions and even reach some remote regions. However, against the Saros Divine Formation, it had no effect at all. The Saros Divine Formation had another effect, which was absorption. It could absorb energy and absorb the opponent's attack into the void. The energy did not disappear. Instead, it kept twisting in the void until it completely disappeared. Brother, you can defeat them, right? Wu Wanxin asked from the side. Wu Yang didn't answer. He just stared at Sakanin. Seeing that Wu Yang didn't answer, Wu Wanxin's heart sank. Generally speaking, when Wu Yang didn't speak, it meant that the situation was very dangerous. Or he was considering what choice to make, and it was the extremely difficult one. It was very likely that the supreme grass would be handed over. The key was whether the other party would agree to let them go if they handed over the supreme grass. That was another matter, unless they made an oath. Look at your brother. He can't even say anything, right? Sakanin sneered. Because he isn't as arrogant as you are. He knows the seriousness of the situation. I dare say that you won't be able to last 3 hours against us. You will all be wiped out. Do you believe me? Coupled with the Saros Divine Formation and their lineup, it wouldn't be that easy to break through. If I hand over the supreme grass, will you let us go? Wu Yang raised his head and asked. After some hesitation, he finally decided what to do. For the sake of everyone's safety, he could only choose to give up on the supreme grass. Brother! Wu Wanxin's heart sank. Clearly, they had encountered a terrible situation. Otherwise, Wu Yang wouldn't have made such a choice. The supreme grass was extremely important to Wu Yang. It was one of the divine medicines that could help him break through to the Sky Star supremacy. No one would be willing to do this, but for now they had no other choice. Of course we will let you go. Do you think I, Sakanin, would say anything? Sakanin's eyes lit up. All right, make an oath, and I will give you the supreme grass. Wu Yang gestured for Sakanin to make an oath. His words would only be effective after making an oath. Otherwise, it would just be empty talk. I don't like making an oath. I don't like the feeling of being bound. You have no other choice now. Either you believe me or you fight. Sakanin smiled coldly. Wu Yang and the rest's expressions changed. What was the point of not making an oath? Perhaps he would kill all of them after obtaining the supreme grass. If you don't make an oath, I won't hand over the supreme grass. Don't treat us like idiots. Wu Yang rejected. Then let's fight. Don't talk nonsense. Wu Yang didn't waste any more time. It wasn't that he didn't want to hand over the supreme grass, but that the other party didn't have any promises to make. Who knew? He might even kill them after getting the supreme grass. Under such circumstances, they might as well take a gamble. There was still a chance to escape. Looks like you are courting death? Sakanin's expression was cold. He indeed wanted to kill them after getting the supreme grass. He couldn't let a tiger return to the mountain, especially a disciple of a powerful family like Wu Yang. We won't know who the winner will be until the end. Wu Yang wasn't afraid. He turned to look at Yi Tianyun and said apologetically, I'm sorry for dragging you all into this. When the fight starts, if there's a chance, take the opportunity to escape. Even at this time, Wu Yang didn't forget to care about them. Chapter 23-26. Yi Tianyun had originally planned to fight with them. How could he let go of such a fat sheep? Others might be afraid of the sand god Array, but he was not. Oh, you do have some backbone. It looks like you're a rogue cultivator from outside, right? I believe you've seen the current situation. I admit that your cultivation is not low, but if you think you can do whatever you want here with a divine star venerable late-stage cultivation, then you're dreaming. When Sakanin saw Yi Tianyun step forward, he smiled slightly. If you join us and deal with them together, not only will I let you live, but I'll also give you some benefit. How about it? Sakanin began to tempt Yi Tianyun. He could see that the two families really had no relationship. Moreover, he had already investigated who would be on this spirit boat. From the beginning, he knew that Yi Tianyun was not a member of the Wu family. Even so, he would not let anyone leave so easily. Can you give us some benefits? Yi Tianyun smiled faintly. That's right. Not only can I let you live, but I can also give you some benefits that are definitely beyond your imagination. Sakanin's eyes flickered. It would be best if he could pull the other party over. No matter what, Yi Tianyun was a divine star venerable late-stage powerhouse. If he could be pulled over, it would save him a lot of trouble. I wonder if I can bring it up myself. What benefits do I need? Don't worry, I only want one benefit, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. Alright, tell me. Let's see if I can satisfy you. Sakanin was overjoyed. It was so easy to pull him over. Wu Wanxin and the others looked over, and their hearts sank. Could it be that Yi Tianyun would really join the other party? Wu Yang did not speak. He just looked at Yi Tianyun quietly. Among them, Wu Wanxin, who had a relatively bad temper, was furious. She opened her mouth and wanted to scold Yi Tianyun for being ungrateful and going back on his word. Yi Tianyun grinned and said, Then can I have your head? As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was flabbergasted. How is this really choosing to side with him? This is completely a joke. Sakanin's face was ashen. He did not expect that he would be fooled. Good, you really have guts, Sakanin said coldly. Since that's the case, I hope that you won't beg for mercy when the time comes. Even if you beg for mercy, I'll make your life worse than death. I'll let you know the consequences of messing with me. All right. Wu Yang laughed and said, If we can successfully kill our way out, you will definitely become an honored guest of our Wu family. At this moment, the way Wu Wanxin looked at Yi Tianyun changed. She didn't think much of him at first, but now, a friend in need was a friend indeed, which made her feel a little complicated. If it were any other cultivator, they would probably have begged Sakanin for mercy. If they begged for mercy, Sakanin might let them go or join Sakanin's side to express their loyalty. Then, they might have a chance to live. However, Yi Tianyun did not do so. Instead, he completely fell out with the other party. Such courage was really rare. The reason why she hated some rogue cultivators from outside was that they were ungrateful in many cases. Wu Yang had helped many people, but those people were ungrateful or had approached the Wu family with ulterior motives. Naturally, she hated them. Well, let's deal with them first and then go to the Wu family as guests. I hope Brother Wu Yang doesn't mind. Tianyun laughed and did not care about the current situation at all. That's for sure. If I don't treat you well, you can hold me accountable. Wu Yang also laughed, making the originally tense atmosphere slightly relaxed. On the side, Star Venerate Mei Qing and the others also felt a little relaxed. They did not know what the effect of the Saros divine formation was, but one thing they knew was that Tianyun was absolutely heaven-defying. Damn it, they still dare to chat in front of me. Kill them all and let them go to hell to slowly taste tea. Sakinen felt that he was being looked down upon. In a rage, he immediately ordered all his men to move out. The next moment, figures disappeared in front of everyone. They all went into the void, ready to launch a sneak attack. After entering the void, Wu Yang hurriedly looked around, worried that someone would launch a sneak attack. This time they had to be cautious. If they were not careful, they would be hit. In this situation where the enemy was in the dark while they were out in the open, there was no way to deal with the other party easily. Just as they were cautiously inspecting their surroundings, a figure suddenly flickered, and a guard was struck, causing him to retreat rapidly. At this time, there was a huge hole in the guard's chest. If he had not dodged in time, he would have been killed. After one guard was hit, a second one soon followed. Another guard was hit, and his situation was even worse. Under this heavy blow, he immediately fainted and his soul was injured. Fortunately, his companion put it away in time, or he would have died without a doubt. As more and more sneak attacks occurred, the situation of the guards became worse and worse. On the other hand, they could not even see the appearance of the enemy. They could only see their companions being knocked down one by one, which made them feel extremely terrified. How do we fight like this? Wu Wanxin's face was pale. Her cultivation was not low, and she was a mid-stage divine star venerate, but she felt very helpless. Only now did she realize how amazing the Saros divine formation's effect was. There was actually such a terrifying formation. She could not even see the enemy's figure. Wu Yang's eyes were cold as he stared at the surroundings. There was no way to break it at the moment. There was only one way to deal with them, and that was to counterattack the moment they attacked. This sounded simple, but it was extremely difficult to do. This meant that even more astonishing reaction ability was needed. One could imagine how difficult it was to counterattack the moment the enemy attacked. As for flying around randomly, it would instead increase the degree of danger. No one knew if someone would suddenly appear behind them, and they would not even have a chance to react. Despair? You can't even see your opponent, that's really a kind of sorrow. Sakinen sneered. Don't worry, this is just the beginning. Enjoy this despair. At this time, Tianyun, who was motionless at the side, suddenly smiled and said, Feel despair? I don't think there's anything to despair about. Is that so? Then I'll let you feel it first. Sakinen was very unhappy with Tianyun, so he gestured for his companion to attack Tianyun. At this time, Tianyun suddenly took a step forward. With a dong sound, the void was shattered. After it was shattered, the entire void suddenly distorted. At this time, everyone could see more than a dozen blurry figures. Without a doubt, they were the cultivators hidden in the void. Chapter 23-27. Sakinen had never expected that Tianyun would be able to destroy the array eye of the Saros divine formation. They had spent a lot of effort to set up the array eye. Who knew that Tianyun would be able to destroy one of the array eyes? After destroying one, the Saros divine formation's effect was immediately greatly weakened. Even the perfect concealment was exposed. Although it was very blurry, at least it was not like before, where they could not see anything. We see them, Wu Yang and the rest's eyes lit up. They quickly realized what Yi Tianyun had just done. He had destroyed the most important array eye. Although there was only one, after being greatly weakened, it was enough to give them a chance to counterattack. Boom! Wu Yang's power immediately erupted, sending the cultivator beside him flying. The cultivator flew out of the void and only stopped after flying for a long distance. However, he was basically dead. His head had been sent flying by Wu Yang's kick. Wu Yang usually looked very amiable, but when facing these opponents, he was very ruthless. If he could kill them with one move, he would definitely not use a second move. The rest of them also quickly attacked, including Wu Wanxin. Although Wu Wanxin was a little arrogant, her abilities were not bad. Her attacks were not as ruthless as Wu Yang's, but the effects were also not bad. After a wave of counterattacks, the many shadows slowly disappeared. Although one of the array eyes had been destroyed, there were still many effects of the Saros divine formation. For example, if they hid a little further away and concealed their aura, they could still achieve the effect of invisibility. Damn it, why is there an Star Rune Master, and a good one at that? Sakanin had never expected that Yi Tianyun would be in Star Rune Master. Only in Star Rune Master could find the array eye in such a short time. Even if there was only one, after destroying it, the effect would be weakened. This Saros divine formation was no longer the complete Saros divine formation. Yi Tianyun's level as in Star Rune Master was not high. However, seeing that the Saros divine formation was not weak, he knew that it would not be easy to destroy it. He could only increase his level as in Star Rune Master. In addition, he had reached his limit. If he did not obtain the divine medicine, he would not be able to break through. Under such circumstances, he had to prioritize improving his other abilities. The ability of an Astral Rune Master wasn't bad. Under the ferocious smashing, the Astral Rune Master's rank instantly rose to the 4th grade. After advancing to the 4th level, it was no longer difficult for him to break the divine Saros array. After all, the other party was only a 4th level Astral Rune Master. Under the dual confrontation, Yi Tianyun's side had the upper hand. However, Sakanin was not a 4th grade Star Rune Master. Rather, he had invited a 4th grade Star Rune Master to set up this array. There was no 4th grade Star Rune Master among them. It was simply too difficult for high-ranked Astral Rune Masters to cultivate. It was extremely difficult for them to reach this level. Only a few big clans or forces would have advanced Astral Inscriptionists. How could a bandit force like theirs possibly have such a high-level Astral Rune Master? Kill him first, that Star Rune Master! Sakanin immediately gave the order. He originally wanted to deal with Yi Tianyun first. After all, Yi Tianyun had angered him. Now, it was not because he had angered Yi Tianyun that he sent people to kill Yi Tianyun. It was because Yi Tianyun was an Astral Rune Master. If Yi Tianyun was not killed, the divine Saros array would be meaningless if the destruction continued. In particular, Wu Wanxin would spread the news. At that time, forget about killing Wu Yang, whether they could escape or not would be the key. Because the Wu family had a heavenly star supremacy. If they sent a heavenly star supremacy to rescue them, they wouldn't be able to escape even if they wanted to. After Sakanin gave the order, he also hid in the array and went to kill Yi Tianyun. Originally, Sakanin didn't want to take action personally. He wanted to watch the situation from the sidelines. He wanted to see Wu Yang and the others' expressions of despair. Who knew that all this would be destroyed by Yi Tianyun? Brother Yi, hide beside me. Wu Yang motioned to Yi Tianyun to hide beside him. It would be safer this way. At the same time, Wu Yang quickly unleashed his Star Dharma form, Bloodthirsty Mantis. A giant blood-red mantis appeared in the void. At the same time, Wu Yang held 2 top-grade Star Venerable level treasures in his hands. His eyes turned red and he was full of murderous intent. This bloodthirsty mantis didn't have a unique Star Dharma form. It was a level 6 star Dharma form, which was equally powerful. It didn't mean that a unique star Dharma form would be stronger than a level 6 star Dharma form. It also depended on the user. When Wu Yang unleashed this star Dharma form, its power was quite shocking. No need. Brother Wu Yang, protect me. I'll destroy the formation eye. Tianyun didn't stop. Instead, he turned and flew to the next formation eye. With the appraisal eye, he could clearly see where the formation eye was. However, it wouldn't be easy to destroy it. Okay. Wu Yang didn't waste time. He originally wanted to protect Tianyun. Since Tianyun wanted to destroy the formation eye, he would accompany him. Under normal circumstances, destroying the formation eye at such a time was equivalent to courting death. The other party knew that Tianyun was an astral rune master, so they would definitely guard the formation eye. When Tianyun came over, they would immediately launch a sneak attack. Tianyun wasn't afraid at all. He directly flew to the next formation eye. Sure enough, when he arrived at the next formation eye, two figures immediately pounced in his direction. They were two late-stage Divine Star Venerable powerhouses. They used their strongest killing moves as soon as they attacked. They unleashed all their Star Dharma forms, all level 6 Star Dharma forms. They aimed at Tianyun's head, trying to kill him in one blow. Get lost! Wu Yang, who was wielding two blades, roared and slashed forward crazily. It looked like a simple wave, but he actually slashed out tens of thousands of times at an astonishing speed. Boom! With his full power erupting, the two late-stage Divine Star Venerable powerhouses were sent flying. After a head-on confrontation, Wu Yang actually fought to a draw with the other party. It was enough to show how powerful he was. Tianyun didn't waste time. He stepped on the formation eye. Boom! With one step, a hole appeared in the formation eye, but it wasn't damaged. The first formation eye he destroyed was a little weaker, so he could destroy it in one blow. The second one wasn't so easy to destroy. However, with Wu Yang protecting him, it wasn't difficult to destroy it. Swish! But at this moment, a cold light suddenly pierced through, wanting to penetrate his head. The one who charged out from the void was Sakinen. Wu Yang, who was protecting Tianyun, reacted quickly. His astonishing reaction speed was really like a praying mantis. He attacked at lightning speed. Boom! He hastily counterattacked and barely managed to block this move. Sakinen was sent flying, but Wu Yang suffered some minor injuries. There was a bloody hole on his shoulder, looking very terrifying. Chapter 23-28. As expected of the Wu family's genius, he didn't even retreat. Sakenen's expression was gloomy. The three of them attacked fiercely, but Wu Yang blocked all of them. Wu Yang's strength was still quite shocking, especially when he used his full power to block their sneak attacks. This was a sneak attack supported by the Saros Divine Array, but it was still blocked by Wu Yang. He didn't block the last attack, but his injuries weren't serious, which was already quite shocking. Wu Yang's strength was truly valiant, especially when combined with his Star Transcendence phase. He basically had lightning-fast reaction and attack ability, and instantly knew how to intercept his opponent. Some cultivators could react, but they couldn't react in time to the attack. Wu Yang didn't have this problem. His unique super talent allowed his attack speed to be shockingly effective in defending against sneak attack. No matter how many of you come at me, I'll block all of them. Wu Yang's eyes were cold, and the wound on his shoulder quickly healed, as if he didn't feel the slightest bit of pain. You're ambitious. Let's see how many attacks you can block. Sakenen wouldn't go soft, and once again joined forces with his two companions to attack Wu Yang. Wu Wanxin and the others could only watch from the side. They had to block the enemy's sneak attacks, let alone help Wu Yang. Moreover, even if they wanted to help, they couldn't. Their cultivation was too low, and only Wu Yang's cultivation was the highest. If they went over, they would undoubtedly be a burden. Dang, dang, dang! The loud sound of metal clashing exploded in the void, and waves of air surged. Wu Yang could block every attack, but he gradually became tired. Some attacks couldn't be completely blocked, so he used his body to block them. At this time, the injuries on his body were getting more and more serious, but he still stubbornly held on. He knew he couldn't retreat. Once he did, Yi Tianyun wouldn't be able to focus on destroying the array core. At first, Yi Tianyun wanted to destroy the array core with one step, but this array core was too strong. He could only completely destroy it by destroying the internal structure. This process required full concentration, and there couldn't be any distractions. Seeing Wu Yang protect him like this, he was somewhat moved. He originally wanted to use the vengeful spirits, but vengeful spirits couldn't unleash their full power here. After they attacked, they would hide in the void. Even a vengeful spirit would not be able to track him down. It would only be a waste of opportunity. Therefore, he could only focus on destroying the array core as fast as he could. Broken! Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Then, he stretched out his hand and slapped down. Another array core was destroyed. When the second array eye was destroyed, they were completely exposed while hiding in the void. At this moment, the ability to hide in the void was completely lost. The effect of hiding in the void is gone. Now we can counterattack, Yi Tianyun said in a deep voice. All right. Wu Yang let out a furious roar as the wounds on his body rapidly healed. His eyes turned incomparably red as his combat power rose steadily. Then, he locked onto Sakinin and pounced forward. Let's see how you can hide this time. Wu Yang brandished his twin blades and charged over. What he hated the most was Sakinin. In a fit of rage, he immediately unleashed his full strength and slashed down fiercely. Even if I don't hide inside, I can still destroy you, Sakinin coldly snorted. Although they had lost their advantage of concealment, they still had their powerhouses here. They could still win. Boom, boom, boom. As Sakinin fought fiercely with Wu Yang was forced to retreat. The originally strong Wu Yang had actually become somewhat weak. Actually, it wasn't that Wu Yang had become weak. Instead, it was that Wu Yang's attacks were constantly being absorbed by the surrounding void. This was the second effect of the divine Saros array, which was to absorb energy. Sakinin and the others didn't have any problems. Wu Yang's attacks were always effective, but when they were released, the effects would be greatly weakened. It was as if a large part of their bodies had been chopped off. The effects were severely weakened. Therefore, when they were fighting, their attacks were as if they could only unleash half of their full power. It was quite strenuous. Unless they were very close, the effects wouldn't be at their best. Sakinin was using this effect to attack from a slightly further distance. When they clashed, Wu Yang's attacks would basically be broken. Previously, it was a sneak attack. A sneak attack required one to be closer. Therefore, Wu Yang's strength didn't seem to be weakened. Now, it was different. He was deliberately using this effect to attack, causing the situation to become more troublesome. Since they weren't hiding themselves, it was easier for them to fight. All of them were attacking from a distance. All of a sudden, Wu Wanxin and the others were in a passive state. They all wanted to attack from a distance, but the other party kept hiding from a distance. Ha ha ha, what happened to your aura just now? Why is it so weak now? Sakinin mocked as he fought. As for that brat, just watch him die. At this moment, two divine star venerables went around and surrounded Yi Tianyun. Two late-stage divine star venerables fighting against one Yi Tianyun was already giving him face. Such a young star rune master. What a pity. You can go and die. The two late-stage divine star venerables attacked fiercely. Yi Tianyun smiled calmly. His hands shook quickly, and 10 star venerable grade weapons appeared in his hands. Then, his unique star Dharma idol burst forth, the 8-color Emperor Dragon. A unique star Dharma idol? Everyone was shocked when they saw it. Who would have thought that a foreign cultivator would have a unique star Dharma idol? Wu Wanxin, who was originally high and mighty, was stunned when she saw this unique star Dharma idol. This was a unique star Dharma idol that even they couldn't have, but it had appeared on Yi Tianyun's body. Even if it's a unique star Dharma idol, you still have to die. They didn't think that Yi Tianyun could deal with them. Combined with the effect of the Saros divine array, even the strongest attack would be weakened. Is that so? Then let's see how you'll kill me. Yi Tianyun stepped on the void, and with a dong sound, the void was crushed. He arrived in front of his opponent at an extremely terrifying speed, and his 10 weapons quickly chopped down. The terrifying power was displayed to the extreme. When the blade came down, it was like a terrifying 8-color thunder. This speed, how? The late-stage Divine Star Venerable's eyes were filled with shock. He hadn't thought that Yi Tianyun would have such a terrifying speed and catch up with him in an instant. Now, their distance advantage was gone. Before he could dodge, the attack had already landed. With a hong sound, the late-stage Divine Star Venerables was immediately chopped into a bloody mist, and he was easily killed. Under Yi Tianyun's attack, the late-stage Divine Star Venerables couldn't take a single move. Finished off one, start to finish off the second. Yi Tianyun looked coldly at the other late-stage Divine Star Venerables. This gaze made everyone's heart tremble. It turned out that the most powerful one wasn't Wu Yang, but him. Chapter 23-29. Yi Tianyun's power and speed had far exceeded their imaginations. Even Wu Yang had been suppressed. In fact, this could be seen quite a bit from the Star Dharma idol. Who would have thought that a native like Yi Tianyun would actually have a unique star aspect? No matter how they thought about it, they couldn't have imagined it. They had thought that it would be a 6th-grade star aspect at most, which was already the limit. Who would have thought that he would reach the level of a unique star aspect? That was a unique star aspect that even they didn't have. Yi Tianyun didn't give them a chance to react. He immediately rushed towards another late-stage Divine Star Venerate powerhouse. As long as he eliminated these late-stage Divine Star Venerate powerhouses, everything would be fine. The rest of the cultivators were just small fries. In addition to the effect of the Saros Divine Formation, they were basically no threat to them since it was no longer of much use. I don't believe it. The remaining late-stage Divine Star Venerate powerhouse also unleashed his strongest power. The star aspect was unleashed, and 46 units of stellar power appeared above it. His body also transformed into a huge dragon elephant. It looked like a huge dragon and an elephant at the same time. The combination of the two was really strange. When he saw this star aspect, Yi Tianyun immediately laughed. He hadn't unleashed anything, but he had actually unleashed a star aspect with the dragon race's bloodline on him. Suppress it! Shouted Yi Tianyun. The power of the 8-color Emperor Dragon pressed forward, and the dragon elephant immediately shrank back in fear. The other party was dumbfounded. His star aspect had actually shrunk back in fear. This was something that had never happened before. After the star aspect was lost, everything returned to its original state. Very quickly, the other party faced Yi Tianyun's terrifying attack. Under the heavy pressure, the late-stage Divine Star Venerate powerhouse was crushed. The other party didn't have the slightest ability to resist and was easily suppressed. A cultivator without a star aspect was trash. They weren't even comparable to a mid-stage Divine Star Venerate. Under such circumstances, Yi Tianyun didn't even need to use any strength to crush his opponent. That was easy. Yi Tianyun smiled. It was easy enough to deal with these guys. If all their star powers were dragons or something like that, then he would have made a huge profit. He would have been able to get rid of them effortlessly. After dealing with the remaining late-stage Divine Star Venerable, the last one left was Sakinen, who was fighting Wu Yang. Sakinen was shocked. 2 of his companions had died just like that, and Yi Tianyun had even taken care of them. Initially, Zhang Xian didn't stand out much. It was just his cultivation that stood out. Who could have known that he wasn't just an astral rune master? He also had a unique astral projection. How was he supposed to fight against him? If the two of them joined forces, Sakinin would definitely be defeated. This could be seen from Yi Tianyun's explosive power just now. He was definitely not simple. Damn it, how can there be such a freak? Sakinin cursed. Now, his plan was ruined. His original plan had been perfect. Even if he couldn't deal with Wu Yang, he could still restrain him. Combined with the Saros divine formation, he could definitely suppress them easily. Who would have thought that Yi Tianyun's arrival completely destroyed his plan? Not even a trace was left. Ha ha ha, brother Yi is amazing. Sakinin, let's see how you can stop us this time. Wu Yang's attacks became more and more powerful. With less apprehension, his morale naturally rose. Sakinin's face was ashen. The other battles were still going well. Combined with the Saros divine formation's absorption of energy, they had the upper hand. However, the powerhouses were still around, so this advantage was meaningless. Here, they couldn't be dealt with by relying on numbers. At this moment, Yi Tianyun also surrounded Sakinin and intercepted him from behind. He said indifferently, "I wonder how you're going to destroy me this time?" After Sakinin blasted Wu Yang away with reddened eyes, he glared at Yi Tianyun and roared, "I'm going to kill you!" Sakinin had completely integrated with the star law aspect and turned into a huge star-hunting tiger. It was as huge as a mountain. As it pounced, it tore through the void and pressed down. He had been blinded by anger and prioritized dealing with Yi Tianyun. Such a perfect plan was destroyed. He was basically going to get the supreme grass, but it was destroyed by Yi Tianyun. If it were anyone else, they would have gone crazy. Originally, he risked provoking the Wu family to carry out a sneak attack. Now that the plan was destroyed, even if he could escape, he would have completely provoked the Wu family. The thought of it made Sakinin furious. Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he had to keep Yi Tianyun here. As long as Yi Tianyun was eliminated, he would have a chance to suppress Wu Yang. "A sick tiger, how dare you be arrogant in front of me?" Yi Tianyun snorted coldly and also integrated with the 8-color Emperor Dragon. He turned into an 8-color Emperor Dragon and pounced forward. The extremely sharp dragon claws pressed down on the star-hunting tiger that pounced forward. Roar! The star-hunting tiger also waved its huge front paw and slapped over, colliding with Yi Tianyun's dragon claws. This was a real fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger. Boom! The two giant claws collided and a large black hole exploded in the void. For a moment, neither of their attacks had much of an advantage. When Sakinin wanted to counterattack with a stronger force, Yi Tianyun's strength suddenly increased. Suppress. Yi Tianyun's dragon eyes were filled with a gaze that looked down on the world. Under the heavy pressure, Sakinin's huge front paw was crushed. Along with a scream, Sakinin flew out. His original huge figure quickly shrank and returned to his original appearance. At this time, Sakinin's arm was also broken, and he suffered an extremely serious injury. The injuries he suffered when he transformed into his original body could also be reflected on his original body, especially the kind of fusion with a higher degree of compatibility. "Looks like you dodged quickly." Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold as he continued to chase and attack. He wanted to take advantage of Sakinin's injury to finish him off. However, before he could make a move, a red light pierced through and fiercely struck Sakinin's body. With a poochie sound, 2 blades pierced through Sakinin's body and lifted him up. "You still want to snatch my supreme grass? Go to hell and find it." The one who sneak attacked him was Wu Yang. 2 sharp blades easily hit Sakinin's vital points and nailed him in the void. "I lost." Sakinin was very unwilling, but he could only choose to accept it. He had no other choice. Before he died, he looked at Yi Tianyun with eyes filled with deep resentment. He did not blame Wu Yang for killing him. Instead, he hated Yi Tianyun very much. If not for him, he would not have ended up like this. The original plan was so perfect. Wu Yang had chosen to surrender and admit defeat, but everything was ruined by Yi Tianyun? I recommend my good friend's new book, The Perspective of Young Cultivators. Strongly recommend, strongly recommend. Chapter 2330. You're still looking at me like that? At this moment, Yi Tianyun flew over and grabbed his head. He activated his divine spirit bloodline and yanked hard, dragging his soul out and holding it in his hand. Ah, the intense pain in his soul made Sakinen scream. He thought he was going to die just like that. He didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be able to extract his soul so easily. Under normal circumstances, it was difficult to extract a soul unless there was some special method. It just so happened that Yi Tianyun had amazing methods to easily extract a soul. His divine soul bloodline was not just for show. It had a shocking performance when it came to controlling souls. Let me check what's in your head first. Yi Tianyun impolitely checked Sakinen's soul memory. After a while, his gaze became colder and colder. Looks like you've done a lot of bad things. Killing you would be doing justice for the heavens. Of course, I won't let you die so easily. He grabbed Sakinen's hand and squeezed it slightly. Another wave of pain penetrated his soul, causing Sakinen to scream in pain. Physical injuries weren't that painful, but the pain in the soul was different. It wasn't something that could be offset so easily. Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to have such abilities. He easily extracted the soul and even tortured it. What a ruthless person. Kill me! Sakinen screamed. Killing you would be letting you off too lightly. Yi Tianyun sneered. I'll turn you into a puppet, never to be reincarnated. As he said this, Sakinen's soul trembled. He felt that Yi Tianyun was the real demon. Then, he sealed it slightly and put it away. He would really make it into a puppet in the future. The soul of a late-stage divine star venerable would be pretty good to make into a puppet. Brother Wu Yang, is it okay if I put away his soul? Yi Tianyun's cold expression softened as he looked at the dumbfounded Wu Yang. No problem. Wu Yang smiled and said, I didn't expect Brother Yi to have such shocking abilities. You really have hidden your strength well. It seems that even without our help, you can easily reach Hidden Dragon Star. Initially, he had helped Yi Tianyun and the others because he was worried that they would not be able to reach Hidden Dragon Star smoothly. The journey was dangerous and the journey was long. But now, it seemed like he was blind. He couldn't tell that Yi Tianyun was such a strong cultivator, much stronger than himself. You're exaggerating. Now, let's finish off the guys around us and end this battle. Yi Tianyun glanced around and his eyes gradually turned cold. Yes. Soon after, the two of them joined the battle and easily dealt with the rest. Some even fled in panic, but they still couldn't escape from Yi Tianyun's grasp. Since they wanted to deal with them, they had to know the consequences. After everything was settled, they returned to the spirit boat and continued to fly towards the Hidden Dragon Star. At this time, the way the others looked at Yi Tianyun changed. They had seen Mei Qing God Star venerate before, so they were not as shocked, but they were still very shocked. They felt that Yi Tianyun seemed to have become stronger again. Especially Wu Wanxin, who didn't even dare to look at Yi Tianyun in the eyes. Yi Tianyun's power was too strong. Even if he wasn't a star venerate with his ability, he would have no problem joining any big force. Of course, she wasn't afraid of Yi Tianyun, but she was a little ashamed. Yi Tianyun, who she had looked down on before, had now saved all of them. This was really a slap in the face. Wu Wanxin glanced at them from time to time. She looked like she wanted to say something, but she didn't say it. She was so proud, how could she say it so easily? Yi Tianyun could sense that she wanted to say something, but he couldn't be bothered to care. What Wu Wanxin thought was her business. Yi Tianyun dealt with Sakinen and the others, not for her, but purely to help Wu Yang. Of course, there was another reason, and that was to build a good relationship with this hidden dragon star. He didn't know how strong the Wu family was, but it seemed that they weren't weak. Therefore, if he could build a good relationship with a big family, it would be easier for him to move around on Wild Dragon Star. Brother E, thank you so much this time. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would have died there. Wu Yang was extremely grateful. This was a life-saving grace. How could he not be grateful? That's an exaggeration. With Brother Wu Yang's power, even if you can't beat them, you can still tear the divine Saros formation and call for help. Don't you know? Tianyun said with a smile. That's right, but the price to pay is a little high. Wu Yang sighed. He had the ability to tear the formation and send a message for help. However, the price was too high. For example, he needed a lot of guards to protect him, and there would be countless casualties. These guards were all his subordinates, but in his opinion, they were all his brothers, and he couldn't abandon them. Therefore, he planned to hand over the supreme grass in exchange for his safety. However, Sakhanin wanted to kill them anyway, so he could only go all out. By the way, Brother E, what's your purpose for coming here this time? Wu Yang didn't plan to continue on this topic. Let bygones be bygones. In short, it was Tianyun who saved them. My cultivation has broken through to the late divine star venerable realm. What do you think, Brother Wu Yang? Tianyun directly confessed. This wasn't a secret. Who wouldn't start looking for divine herbs to improve themselves after breaking through to the late divine star venerable realm? I think so too. This supreme grass will be your reward, Brother E. Wu Yang said without hesitation as he handed over the supreme grass to Tianyun as a reward. Brother, you gave him the supreme grass. What about you? Wu Wanxin hurriedly said. You're only missing the supreme grass now. I don't know when you'll be able to find it again. This is nothing compared to your lives. Wu Yang shook his head and handed the jade box to Tianyun. Brother E, just accept it. No, since Brother Wu Yang is still missing this, how can I take it? Tianyun said with a smile. I don't have anything, so it's useless to take the supreme grass. Why don't you use it to break through? After you break through to the heavenly star venerable realm, it's equivalent to saving a heavenly star venerable. It's quite worth it for me. Brother E, you really know how to plan. Okay, then I owe you a big favor. Wu Yang was very grateful. He really needed the supreme grass. If he could really break through to the heavenly star venerable realm, his strength would also improve greatly. Why don't you come to our Wu family as a guest now? Then I'll do as you say. Tianyun didn't refuse. It just so happened that he wanted to understand the details of Hidden Dragon Star through the Wu family. Chapter 2331. Under Wu Yang's lead, they quickly arrived at Hidden Dragon Star. It wasn't very far, but they were trapped in the Saros Divine Formation. Otherwise, they would have returned long ago. Since it was the only way, it was normal for Sakhanin to set it up here. If it was set up elsewhere, it would probably be impossible to set it up correctly. It could only be set up in an area closer to Hidden Dragon Star. Only then could they accurately lock onto Wu Yang. The area outside was so vast, and the Saros Divine Formation couldn't be moved, so it could only be set up in a more dangerous area. If they asked for help, they could arrive within the time it takes to burn a stick of incense. This could be said to be a huge gamble, gambling on the fact that they couldn't send a message for help. Now that the message was ineffective, there was someone more effective than the message, and that was Tianyun. When they arrived at the Hidden Dragon Star area, they could see through the spirit boat that Hidden Dragon Star was huge. It was dozens of times bigger than Scarlet Moon's star. No wonder it was so rich in resources. After the corresponding area was expanded many times, there would naturally be a lot more resources. After entering Hidden Dragon Star, one couldn't tell anything from the outside. Originally, every planet was similar. The only differences were the spirit herbs and the concentration of star power. Overall, the concentration of star power was higher, and the resources were more abundant. Other than that, there was no difference. Of course, there were more powerhouses. Once there were more resources, powerhouses were everywhere. This was the same as divine star venerable powerhouses. There were so many divine star venerable powerhouses in the spirit boat alone. They were stronger than divine star venerable Mei Qing and the others. They could either stay in a small place and become a king, or come here to break through to a higher realm. It was impossible to break through to a higher realm by staying on Scarlet Moon Star. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many divine star venerables leaving Scarlet Moon Star. Unfortunately, they encountered the Bone Spirit clan. Otherwise, they would have come to Hidden Dragon Star. Our Wu family is in front. When Wu Yang pointed to the area in front of him, his expression showed some pride. Our Wu family can be ranked in the top 10 in the entire Desolate Dragon Star. Not too high a ranking, but our overall strength can definitely be ranked in the top 10. Divine Star Venerable Mei Qing and the others didn't speak, but their eyes were full of shock. Even though they had expected the Wu family to be powerful, they didn't expect it to be one of the top 10 forces on Hidden Dragon Star. It sounded terrible, but usually the top 3 were better. This was true, but in this Hidden Dragon Star, there were countless forces. If there were not 10,000, there were at least 8,000. With so many forces of various sizes, being able to reach the top 10 among so many forces was enough to prove how strong the Wu family was. That's right. Our Wu family has countless experts. If we hadn't been ambushed, we would have been able to call for Grand Elder's help through the message token. At that time, those fellows would be dead for sure. Wu Wanxin felt a little angry at the thought of being ambushed. In our Wu family, there are 3 Heavenly Star Supremes. 3 Supremes in one family. Looking at the entire Hidden Dragon Star, we can definitely rank in the top 10. When Wu Wanxin talked about this matter, she also had an air of arrogance. It seemed that she had the capital to be so arrogant. The reason why there wasn't a detailed ranking was mainly because they hadn't really fought. If they really fought, the losses would be too great. Under normal circumstances, they wouldn't go to war because the losses were too great. According to Heavenly Star Supremacy's ranking, they would definitely be able to enter the top 10. To be precise, they might even be in the top 4 or 5. Generally speaking, the Wu family was one of the top 10 families. Wu Wanxin wanted to see some shock and admiration on Yi Tianyun's face, but she was disappointed. Yi Tianyun's expression was indifferent. It seemed that this didn't set off any waves. He wasn't surprised at all. This made her angry for a moment. She had said so much, but Yi Tianyun didn't have any reaction? The Wu family is really powerful. Yi Tianyun smiled. It seems that it's my honor to be able to make friends with Brother Wu Yang. When he said this, he was still very calm. He didn't have the feeling of a commoner meeting an emperor. Everything was so sparse and ordinary. This made Wu Wanxin puzzled. If it were any other cultivator, they would have already prostrated themselves. How could they be so calm? Those who could curry favor with the top 10 families wouldn't dare to say that they could do whatever they wanted on Hidden Dragon Star, but at least they wouldn't be afraid of most forces. Yi Tianyun didn't have much of a reaction. It sounded like a very simple compliment. It was undeniable that other cultivators wanted to cling to this thick thigh, but for Yi Tianyun it was just SOSO. He had seen more powerful existences, especially the Purple Cloud Star Emperor. In the eyes of the Purple Cloud Star Emperor, the Heavenly Star Supremacy was only the lowest standard. Hearing this, he immediately felt nothing. Even if he broke through to the Heavenly Star Supremacy, he wasn't too excited. This was the lowest standard of the Purple Cloud Star Emperor. This was the most terrifying thing. Not at all, not at all. Wu Yang was very appreciative of Yi Tianyun's behavior. What he hated the most was that when the other party heard how powerful he was, they would immediately change their expressions and flatter him. When you come to our Wu family, if you don't stay as a guest for a year or two, you are not giving me, Wu Yang, face." Immediately, Wu Yang brought them back to the Wu family and entertained them well, treating them as distinguished guests. At first, some people didn't quite understand, but after the explanation, they were all shocked. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be so powerful, and he even saved their young master. This matter immediately alarmed the elders and the patriarch, who personally received Yi Tianyun. At the same time, they arranged a grand welcome banquet for Yi Tianyun. Yi Tianyun received a very warm reception, and Divine Star-Lord Mei Qing and the others also benefited from it, coming to the banquet together. Not long after they sat down, someone came out. "Brother Yi, it's my father and the great elder." Wu Yang stood up, and so did Yi Tianyun. After all, he was the other party's master, so he had to show some etiquette. "Ha ha ha, heroes really come from the young. He has such skills at such a young age. I didn't expect there to be such a young man outside of Hidden Dragon's Star." The first to come out was Wu Yang's father, Wu Yuanan. His cultivation had reached the mid-stage of the Heavenly Star Supremacy, and because his aura was restrained, there wasn't much pressure. However, just a little bit of his aura was enough to feel the horror of the Heavenly Star Supremacy. Next to him was another Heavenly Star Supremacy, whose cultivation was also at the mid-stage of the Heavenly Star Supremacy. There was no doubt that he was the Great Elder. There was another Heavenly Star Supremacy who didn't show up. He must have gone to do something. Chapter 2332. Thank you for your praise, Wu Clan leader. I'm still far from it, Yi Tianyun responded very modestly to Wu Yuanan's praise. Not far. To be able to do this at such a young age, it's really not easy. Seikening's name is quite famous in this area. He's cunning and has astonishing strength. He's one of the best among late-stage Divine Star Venerables. Yet, you were able to destroy him. That's really not easy. Wu Yuanan admired Yi Tianyun very much. To be able to do this, it was indeed not easy. Brother Wu Yang was the one who destroyed Seikening, not me. Yi Tianyun smiled and pushed this honor to Wu Yang. It was indeed Wu Yang who stabbed in with his saber and seriously injured Seikening. Brother Yi, I'm not happy when you say that. If you hadn't seriously injured him at the front, how would I have had the chance to sneak an attack from behind? Wu Yang smiled and said, "In short, it's all Brother Yi's credit. Not only did you break the Saros God formation, but you also killed 3 late-stage Divine Star Venerables." Ha ha ha, since Wu Yang has said so, don't be modest, little friend Yi. Come, let me toast you. Thank you for saving Wu Yang and Wanxin. Wu Yuanan raised his cup and toasted Yi Tianyun. He was quite grateful for Yi Tianyun's help. If it weren't for him, his son and daughter might really have died outside. You're welcome. Brother Wu Yang has also helped me a lot. This is nothing. Yi Tianyun also raised his cup in response. I've helped you a lot. Isn't it just giving you a ride? Wu Yang laughed. What kind of help was this? If you hadn't given me a ride, would I have had this opportunity? Yi Tianyun smiled. Come to think of it, that's not right. I gave you a ride, but I ended up harming you. If it weren't for your amazing strength, I would have really harmed you. Wu Yang shook his head and smiled. If Yi Tianyun was a little weaker, he might really have died outside with them. Let's not talk about this. The result is good, isn't it? Yi Tianyun raised his glass again and drank with them. Soon after, their banquet officially began. After which, quite a few gorgeous ladies leisurely walked over from the side and began to dance in front of them. All of these beautiful women were Star Venerables, and Star Venerables were extremely powerful overlords on the desolate dragon planet. Here, they could only be reduced to dancing girls. One couldn't help but say that the treatment was really too bad. After watching the dance for a while, Wu Yuanan smiled at Yi Tianyun and asked, "Little friend Yi, where did you come from?" Yi Tianyun knew that the real crux of the matter had come. Wu Yuanan definitely did not simply come over to thank him. Thanking him was just one of the many things he wanted to say. We are all from Scarlet Moon Planet. Tianyun didn't hide anything. Anyway, this wasn't a secret, and no one would go to Red Moon Star. Scarlet Moon Star didn't have any resources, so even if they sent people to dominate it, it would be meaningless. Scarlet Moon Star? Wu Yuanan thought for a while, then said with a smile, "It turns out to be Scarlet Moon Star, a very remote planet. It seems that no divine star venerable has come from there for a long time. A long time ago, some divine star venerables came here, and they were all quite talented. They were all recruited into big families. Many years have passed, and I haven't seen them. Little friend E, I didn't expect you to come from Scarlet Moon Star. Scarlet Moon Star is so easy to produce geniuses. It's really unexpected." Tianyun squinted his eyes. It seemed that divine star venerables from Scarlet Moon Star had come here a long time ago, but they had been blocked by the Bone Spirit clan. There was a small accident there, and that's why this happened. Tianyun smiled, but he didn't explain the details. This is basically what happens in the world of practitioners. The situation changes constantly, and many things can't be controlled. Wu Yuanan sighed, then changed the topic with a smile. "Little friend E, what is your purpose in coming to Hidden Dragon Planet?" "Yes, I want to break through to Heavenly Star Venerable," Tianyun said straightforwardly. "Haha, that's really ambitious." Wu Yuanan didn't think that Tianyun was overestimating himself. There were so many divine star venerables. Who didn't want to break through to Heavenly Star Venerable? If they didn't even have a thought, that would be really disappointing. If you want to break through to Heavenly Star Venerable, you need a lot of resources, especially the 3 divine medicines. It's quite difficult. Moreover, you may not succeed in one go, and the amount needed is even more astonishing. You came from Scarlet Moon Star, so you basically have nothing to rely on. I wonder if you would like to join our Wu family? Our Wu family can't say how strong we are on Hidden Dragon Planet, but we have no problem ranking in the top 10. If we really fight, we can definitely rank in the top 5. Wu Yuanan stated the Wu family's advantages again, and he directly recruited Tianyun. Wu Yuanan's main purpose of coming out this time was to recruit Tianyun. Tianyun's ability was not bad, and he could be said to be quite powerful. With such great potential, how could Wu Yuanan let him go? In particular, he was the owner of a unique star Dharma form. These were the capital for the 2 heavenly star venerables to come out and entertain him. Wu Yang did not speak at the side. He had no objection to his father's recruitment at all. The main reason was that he also wanted Tianyun to join the Wu family. He felt that Tianyun's strength was very good. If he joined the Wu family would definitely have one more powerhouse. Tianyun smiled slightly and said, "Thank you for your kindness, Wu clan leader, but I don't want to join any family for the time being." "Why, are you not satisfied with our Wu family?" Wu Yuanan did not expect Tianyun to reject him, but he did not get angry. Instead, he looked at Tianyun calmly. "Our Wu family's comprehensive strength is not weak, and we have a lot of resources. We will definitely treat you well. I dare not say too much, but I will take you to find the 3 divine medicines." Wu Yuanan could be said to have dropped a heavy temptation. He even said that he would help to lead the way to find the 3 divine medicines. How could it not be a temptation? "That's not what I mean. The Wu family is very good, but I want to walk around this area alone. Wu clan leader, you can rest assured that I will not join any other family. Even if the number 1 family invites me, I will not join." It was not that Tianyun did not want to join a family, but he did not want to do so for the time being. "In that case, I won't say any more. If you change your mind, you are welcome to join at any time." Wu Yuanan raised his cup and toasted him again. He did not feel angry because of this. Wu Yang saw that Tianyun rejected and was also surprised. Logically speaking, Yi Tianyun came from a small area. It was a very wise choice to join a big family, but now he rejected. Chapter 23:33. Yi Tianyun didn't join the Wu family because he had his own reasons. He didn't want to be too restricted. If he was too restricted, he wouldn't be able to do many things. This was why he didn't want to join the Wu family. Once he joined a family, he would have to pay as much as the other party gave him. In fact, there wasn't much to pay. He was just used to being free. Unless he had to, he really didn't want to join these families. No matter which family it was, he didn't want to join. In particular, some families were extremely strict. It could even be said that they were harsh enough to trap him to death. Therefore, Yi Tianyun generally wouldn't choose to join a family. He would rather establish his own sect here than join these families. Joining a family meant that he would be bound to them. Once they were tied up, the problems that would follow would become quite serious. After hearing Yi Tianyun's refusal, Mei Qing, Immortal Starlord, and the others were also very surprised. They thought that Yi Tianyun would choose to join the Wu family. This was a big backer of Wild Dragon Star. How could he let it go? Little did they know that Yi Tianyun's ultimate goal wasn't Hidden Dragon Star. Hidden Dragon Star was just passing by. When he broke through to Celestial Star Supreme, it should be time to leave Hidden Dragon Star. This meant that as long as he found the 3 divine medicines, he didn't need to stay here any longer. In that case, why would he still join the Wu family? Wasn't this equivalent to making trouble for himself? When the time came, he couldn't leave even if he wanted to. He would be bound here. He couldn't just leave after getting their benefits, right? Yi Tianyun didn't know if others were like this, at least he wouldn't be like this. After Yi Tianyun refused, Wu Yuanan didn't say much, but he wasn't as enthusiastic as before. Originally, he came to recruit Yi Tianyun. Now that Yi Tianyun refused, what else could he say? The banquet ended quickly. Mei Qing, Immortal Starlord, and the others were the ones who joined in the fun. They drank quietly on the side, and no one asked about them. This was the difference in strength. Without strong strength, no one would care about them. When it was over, everyone dispersed. Wu Yuanan and the rest also left, not continuing to stay there. As the Heavenly Star Supremacy, the fact that he had come over to entertain Yi Tianyun was already giving him a lot of face. It wasn't only because he had saved his son, but also because he had invited Yi Tianyun to join them. Of course, before he left, Wu Yuanan told Yi Tianyun that he would be staying here for a period of time. He was not completely indifferent, nor did he not say a single word to Yi Tianyun. His attitude was quite good, mainly because Yi Tianyun said that he would not join any family, and this made him very satisfied. If he joined another family, that would be the worst thing to say. Wouldn't that be equivalent to looking down on the Wu family? Brother Yi, I didn't expect you to refuse. I thought you would join us. Wu Yang said with a smile. I can't help it. I'm used to being free. I don't like to be bound by a family. Yi Tianyun was straightforward. It was not good to be secretive. That's true. If you join a family clan, there will be a lot of restrictions, no matter which family clan it is. Wu Yang sighed. This is a matter of choice. If you join our Wu family, you can get our full support. It won't be a big problem to collect the 3 divine medicines. I know. The situation will definitely be different with a big family as a backer. However, for now, forget it. Let's talk about it when I change my mind. Yi Tianyun smiled. It was better to leave a way out. All right, I'll wait for Brother Yi to join. Wu Yang reached out and patted him on the shoulder. He smiled and said, Then I'll go into seclusion. I don't have time to entertain you for the time being. During this period, you can walk around the Wu family. As long as it's not a special place, you can walk around freely. Especially since you have just arrived here, you can learn about the situation of Hidden Dragon Star here. It will make it a lot more convenient for you to move around on this Hidden Dragon Star. Brother Wu Yang, are you going to break through? Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Wu Yang had collected all the divine medicines. Naturally, it was time for him to break through. After raising the level of the star law form, he could start to attack his cultivation. Yes, I've collected the divine medicines. Isn't it time to give it a try? Wu Yang smiled. After saying a few words, he went into seclusion to cultivate. After they left, Yi Tianyun returned to his residence. Mei Qing, Immortal Star Venerable, and the others also benefited from it. They also stayed in the VIP room. Sir, if you don't choose to join the Wu family, where will you go next? Mei Qing, Immortal Star Venerable asked. To find the Supreme Grass. Yi Tianyun stated his clear purpose. Supreme Grass. Mei Qing, Immortal Star Venerable, and the others looked at each other. They were not qualified to join the Wu family. Now they could only follow Yi Tianyun. However, when they heard that Yi Tianyun was going to find the Supreme Grass, they were a little stunned. How do we find it? For others, it's difficult, but for me, it's not too difficult. Yi Tianyun smiled indifferently. This was really true. Don't forget, he had the appraisal eyes. After the appraisal eyes was upgraded, not only could he find people, but he could also find things. As long as a name was reported, he could easily find the corresponding location and know how to go. As for the other two divine medicines, he did not have to worry about them. He basically did not need to look for them. This was because he found the other two divine medicines in Sakanen's storage ring. In this case, he only needed to find the Supreme Grass. Originally, Sakanen was so bold to stop Wu Yang because of the Supreme Grass. If there were no other two divine medicines, he believed that Sakanen would not be so bold to stop Wu Yang. After all, there was only one divine medicine, which was meaningless. Once he gathered the three divine medicines, it would be different. He could immediately cultivate in seclusion and break through. When he broke through to Heavenly Star Supreme, he would not even be afraid of the Wu family. It was not that the Wu family was stronger than him, but with this level of cultivation, he could easily escape. Let's start looking for the Supreme Grass. I hope it's not too far away. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. After setting his goal as the Supreme Grass, there were many light spots to choose from, which meant that there were really a lot of Supreme Grass. Looking around, there were many light spots in some families. He also saw Wu Yang walking into the cultivation room, preparing to break through. These Supreme Grass in the family definitely could not be taken. How could a family with the Supreme Grass be simple? Therefore, he could only turn his gaze to the remote wilderness to search. After searching for a while, he finally found it. This area seems to be very special? Yi Tianyun was stunned. The Supreme Grass was wrapped tightly in purple crystals. Chapter 2334. What exactly is that place? Yi Tianyun retracted his gaze. He had a rough idea of where it was, but it was a little far away. What he would encounter along the way was also an unknown situation. However, he wasn't in a hurry to act. He had to figure out the situation of Hidden Dragon Star first. He had a rough idea of the forces here, the surrounding environment, and the area where the Supreme Grass was. If he didn't make preparations before going, he wouldn't even know how he died. Although he wasn't afraid of death and he could still be resurrected, it would still be a tragic thing to die all the way back. After planning, he went to the Wu family's library to look for the corresponding information. When he went there, he asked the guards if he could go there and then asked them to help guide the way. There were many taboos in many places. If he didn't ask clearly, he might cause unnecessary trouble if he walked around randomly. Yi Tianyun quickly went to the library and began to check the general situation of Hidden Dragon Star. The Wu family had a lot of books. Overall, it was quite rich, and the information was often updated, making it easier for him to check the detailed situation. As he was a distinguished guest, he could read at will. As long as he didn't go to some martial arts library, he could read at will. This information is basically open to all Wu family disciples. It is not open to the outside world, but Yi Tianyun is a guest of honor, so there will be an exception for him. After reading a lot of content, Yi Tianyun had a rough idea of the situation of Hidden Dragon Star. That area should be Violet Flame Star, Yi Tianyun frowned. In addition to finding out the general power distribution of Hidden Dragon Star, he also had to find the area where the Supreme Grass was. According to the surrounding environment and the distance, he finally locked on to Violet Flame Star. Violet Flame Star wasn't very far from Hidden Dragon Star, but it wasn't very close either. The distance wasn't the point. The biggest point was the danger. Violet Flame Star had a terrifying purple flame that enveloped the entire Violet Flame Star. Those with low cultivation would be burned to ashes if they approached. Without the cultivation of a divine star venerable or above, it was impossible to approach Violet Flame Star. Therefore, Violet Flame Star was called a dead star. Ordinary people couldn't get close, so it could only be called a dead star. The Supreme Grass should be inside the Violet Flame Star, and the thing that enveloped it should be the purple crystal. Usually, the appearance of purple crystals would only gradually solidify when the purple flames were extremely dense. With Yi Tianyun's strength, he could still withstand the purple flames. However, what worried them the most was that the Violet Flame Star wasn't friendly to them. This was because the Violet Flame Star was occupied by the Violet Flame Clan, and the Violet Flame Clan was the boss there. Although not all areas of the Violet Flame Star were guarded by the Purple Flame Clan, it was easy to encounter the Purple Flame Clan if one went to the Violet Flame Star. If outsiders wanted to enter, they would have to inform the Purple Flame Tribe and get permission to enter. If they didn't, it would be trespassing on their territory. The Purple Flame Tribe was not on the Hidden Dragon Star, but according to their overall strength, they could be ranked in the top 10. As the Purple Flame Clan was not on the Hidden Dragon Star, it was naturally not listed as one of the top 10 families. As a result, many families didn't dare to approach the Violet Flame Star. Currently, he had scanned a large area, and the Violet Flame Star seemed to be ownerless. The Violet Flame Star was the territory of the Purple Flame Clan, but the Purple Flame Clan didn't find the Supreme Grass. Otherwise, it would have been uprooted long ago. As for the other Supreme Grasses, they were basically ownerless and couldn't be obtained. Unless he forced his way in and stole it, he believed that he wouldn't be able to take the Supreme Grass from the hands of the Heavenly Star Supremacy. Only in the Violet Flame Star did he find an ownerless Supreme Grass. Of course, the range of his appraisal eye was limited, and it didn't mean that he could extend it endlessly. At the very least, within a large area, he found that most of the Supreme Grasses were ownerless. Unless he left this area and continued exploring, he might be able to find the Supreme Grass. In such a vast world, there would definitely be a lot of Supreme Grasses. As for where they were, it was hard to say. The danger level there might be even higher than the Violet Flame Star. Violet Flame Star. Yi Tianyun immediately locked on to the Violet Flame Star. At the moment, he could only choose it. After all, it was ownerless. As for those ownerless items, unless he paid a high price, he couldn't exchange them at all. The price of exchange was basically the same as the Supreme Grass. Yi Tianyun didn't have such a high price. After locking on, Yi Tianyun planned to leave for the Violet Flame Star. This matter shouldn't be delayed. Although he temporarily stabilized the Scarlet Moon Star, it was a good thing for him to break through his cultivation in advance. When he came out of the library, he bid farewell to the Wu family. As for Divine Star Supremacy, Mei Qing and the others, he asked them to stay in the Wu family for the time being. Yi Tianyun planned to retrieve the Supreme Grass before returning to the Wu family to break through. It was undoubtedly a better choice to break through here. After all, it was quieter here. When he was about to leave, the sky suddenly flashed with lightning and thunder. The stars in the sky flickered, and rays of light shrouded the area where Wu Yang was cultivating. There was no doubt that Wu Yang was breaking through to a higher level of the star law phase. This scene was quite amazing and could be said to be the focus of attention. From afar, one could see the light descending from the sky, enveloping everything here. At this time, the bloodthirsty mantis divine star appeared above, revealing its domineering aura. Under the fierce bombardment of the three divine medicines, it began to improve little by little. Whether it could really improve or not depended on its own ability. All the disciples of the Wu family came out of their cultivation state and watched this amazing scene. If it succeeded, then the Wu family would have 4 heavenly star supremacies. If it failed, it could only be said to be a pity. No one dared to say that it would definitely succeed. The probability of failure was quite high. As long as the star law phase could be improved, it was basically destined to break through to become a heavenly star supremacy. Of course, it would still take some time and a breakthrough to break through to heavenly star supremacy, but at least the prerequisites were met. I wonder if Brother Wu Yang can succeed? Tianyun didn't leave but chose to stay and watch the whole process. He wanted to see if Wu Yang could succeed. As time passed, the bloodthirsty divine mantis above became redder and redder, as if it was about to completely evolve. When there was still a small part left, the bloodthirsty divine mantis dispersed in the void with a bang, and everything returned to its original state. When everyone saw this scene, they sighed and showed expressions of pity. Wu Yang failed and did not succeed in upgrading the level of the star law phase. This was really a pity. Chapter 23:35. Many people felt that it was a pity for Wu Yang's failure, but they were not disappointed. This was because the probability of success was too low. It was not certain that one could break through just by obtaining the 3 divine medicines. If that was the case, heavenly star supremes would not be everywhere, but at least they would not be so rare. A large family would be proud to have 1 or 2 heavenly star supremes. This was enough to prove the difficulty. Many of the 3 divine medicines were wasted. After all, most of them failed. Among the supremes of the Wu family, which one had not failed before? Everyone had failed before. It was just that the number of failures was different. Most of them accumulated experience on the first try so that they could have a better breakthrough on the second try. Generally speaking, it was quite good to succeed on 2 tries. As for those who could succeed on the first try, they were definitely the best among the crowd. Wu Yang was obviously not this type of person. It was a pity. After the breakthrough failed, everyone returned to their positions and did what they had to do. After Wu Yang failed to break through, he did not come out immediately. He stayed quietly in the cultivation room. Whether he was enlightened or depressed, it was unclear. With Wu Yang's character, he should be able to walk out of this shadow soon and would not be troubled for too long. It was normal for him to be depressed. He had worked so hard to find the 3 divine medicines, but they failed just like that. It was equivalent to wasting them. One could imagine his mood. Of course, this was not considered a waste. It could only be said that he could accumulate experience and succeed more easily next time. Can I succeed on the first try? Tianyun did not want to fail either. If he failed, it would be troublesome. He would have to spend a lot of time searching for the 3 divine medicines. It was really a lot of time. After witnessing Wu Yang's failure, he shook his head and turned to leave the Wu family. Before he could leave the Wu family, a familiar figure blocked his way. When he saw the person clearly, Tianyun was a little surprised. "Miss Wu, what's the matter?" He did not expect to see Wu Wanxin before he left. Moreover, she seemed to be waiting for him. "If you refuse to join the Wu family because of me, I'm sorry. I admit that I look down on outsiders like you. Usually, the ones that my brother helps are ingrates, or they know that we're from the Wu family, so they like to flatter us. Over time, I began to hate the outside world." Wu Wanxin looked at Tianyun and said, so I apologize to you here. I only hope that you won't choose to reject the Wu family because of this. You have strength, and you're not like those cultivators who flatter us. You've even saved us before. Based on this alone, I think that if you join our Wu family, you will definitely bring great benefits to the Wu family. Of course, we will also give you the best treatment. We will not mistreat you. Wu Wanxin had stopped him here and said such heartfelt words. She had even apologized to him. This caused Yi Tianyun to be dumbfounded. It was because of her that he didn't want to join. Wasn't his sense of self-importance a little too strong? Ahem, I didn't refuse because of that. I have a personal reason. However, if I really join a clan in the future, I will definitely choose your Wu family first. Yi Tianyun didn't say anything to embarrass her. After all, Wu Wanxin apologized sincerely and gave a reason. Wu Wanxin's reason was really right. The group of people didn't feel anything when they didn't know that they were disciples of the Wu family. After knowing, they were extremely enthusiastic, almost comparable to their own parents. After seeing these people, Wu Wanxin felt disgusted and didn't want to communicate with them. Over time, Wu Wanxin felt disgusted and rejected all outsiders. When she first saw Yi Tianyun, of course, she also put him in this category. She thought that Yi Tianyun was also the kind of person who liked to flatter others. In the end, she slapped herself in the face, letting her know that Yi Tianyun was different. Really? Wu Wanxin didn't quite believe it. She always felt that it was her attitude problem. She didn't apologize at the banquet, but she apologized here honestly for the Wu family. Needless to say, Wu Wanxin was very concerned about the Wu family's situation. For the benefit of the Wu family, she was willing to put down her pride. Of course, I won't lie to you. It seems that Miss Wu has this kind of thinking, which is different from what the outside world has said. Yi Tianyun smiled. His view of Wu Wanxin had changed. At least, she wasn't the kind of supercilious existence who didn't care about anything. That's hard to say. Wu Wanxin snorted coldly and immediately thought about it before saying, "Anyway, if it's not because of me, then I won't say it. I hope you change your mind in the future and come to our Wu family. We welcome you at any time." After saying that, Wu Wanxin left and didn't continue to stay. After this episode, Yi Tianyun went straight to Violet Flame Star. His view of the Wu family was a little different. Wu Wanxin was actually similar to Wu Yang. It was just that she had seen too many ingrates and people who wanted to take advantage of them, so she became like this. Violet Flame Star. I hope I can get the supreme grass easily. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed and he flew to Violet Flame Star at full speed. Along the way, there were many cultivators around, including many Divine Star venerable powerhouses. However, they didn't pay attention to each other and went about their own business. With so many powerhouses, it was no wonder that those giant beasts only dared to occupy Red Moon Star. If they came here, they would probably be blasted to pieces by the 10 great families. After flying for a while, he finally arrived at the area where Violet Flame Star was located. When he arrived, it wasn't as deserted as he had imagined. He still saw many Divine Star venerable powerhouses flying directly to Violet Flame Star. Hey, that's strange. Didn't they say that the Purple Flame race isn't hospitable? Yi Tianyun was a little puzzled. Maybe the Wu family's information wasn't updated in time. Then he followed them. There was a palace in front, floating outside Violet Flame Star, and those Divine Star venerables went inside. After Yi Tianyun followed them in, he saw many Purple Flame race people inside, looking at them coldly. Those who want to enter Violet Flame Star to look for treasures, please line up here. Each person has to pay 10 star venerable level treasures to enter Violet Flame Star to look for treasures. The Purple Flame race people in front of him didn't look too ordinary, except for their purple hair and purple eyes. Apart from that, there was nothing special about them. The situation inside was another story. Chapter 2336. Before coming to the Violet Flame Planet, Tianyun had been thinking about how to sneak into the Violet Flame Planet quietly. However, as soon as he arrived, he found that he only needed to pay 10-star Venerable level treasures to walk around the Violet Flame Planet at will. This was really beyond his expectations. The price of 10-star Venerable level treasures was relatively high, but he could still afford to pick spiritual herbs on the Violet Flame Planet at will. For Tianyun, 10-star Venerable level treasures in exchange for picking the supreme grass safely was also a good price. When it was his turn, he looked at the deacon of the Purple Flame race and asked, "Excuse me, how long can I stay on the Violet Flame Planet after paying 10-star Venerable level treasures?" 1 month. If you exceed 1 month, please leave. If you exceed the time limit, you must pay the corresponding star Venerable level treasures. No matter what treasures you pick during this period, you can keep them for yourself. The deacon's expression was cold. He was simply explaining it to him. It was just a formality. 1 month. Tianyun frowned. He had to admit that this was really stingy. Asking for 10-star Venerable level treasures in 1 month was really asking for an exorbitant price. Yes, just 1 month. If you exceed 1 month, even if it's only a day, you will have to pay 10-star Venerable level treasures. If you don't pay and leave without permission, you will definitely be punished by our race. The deacon's tone became stern towards the end. It was also a warning to the divine star venerables next to him. If he exceeded 1 day, it would be counted as 1 month. He had to admit that this was really a big scam. If he exceeded 1 day, even if he exceeded 1 second, it would be counted as 1 month. He would have to pay 10 more star Venerable level treasures. Even on the Hidden Dragon Planet, there were not that many star Venerable level treasures. In order to get in, the divine star venerables who had come had to pay a big price. Taking a closer look, their cultivations were not low. Most of them were in the middle or late stage of the divine star venerable level. Without this cultivation, how could they come to the Violet Flame Planet at will? They came to the Violet Flame Planet to dig for treasures. Without a strong cultivation, they could not stay on the Violet Flame Planet. Due to the high price, they wouldn't come in groups. At most, they would come in groups of 2 or 3. It was quite painful to pay dozens of star Venerable level treasures at once. Of course, this was the price of a low-grade star Venerable treasure. If it were a mid-grade star Venerable treasure, he would not need 10. He would only need 1. Different grades naturally meant different prices. I don't know about security, is there any similar protection? Tianyun asked again. No, whether you live or die inside has nothing to do with us. Even if you die because of a conflict with other forces, it has nothing to do with us. The deacon said coldly, "If you don't want to enter, then please leave." This deacon did not have a good impression of outsiders. It seemed that he had no choice but to let them in for some reason, and he had to pay a certain price. Tianyun narrowed his eyes as he looked at the deacon. It seemed that the deacon's attitude towards outsiders was the same as always. All along, the Purple Flame tribe had always been averse to outsiders. If it wasn't for the fact that they were strong, they would have been exterminated long ago. Is there more to it? Tianyun did not think too much about it. He took out 10-star Venerable level treasures and handed them over. The deacon glanced at them and took them. Then he handed over a token and said, "This is your token. Return it to us when you come out. Let me give you a piece of advice. Before you leave, you'd better leave through this place. Don't leave through other places. Otherwise, you might cause trouble. There are corresponding restricted areas in this token. You can go anywhere you want except the restricted areas." Okay. Tianyun did not say anything else. He took the token and walked forward. The token in his hand was undoubtedly a location tracking token. In this way, the deacon would know where he was going. He must have been afraid that he would go to the restricted areas. Something must have happened to the Purple Flame tribe. Otherwise, they wouldn't have opened the purple flame planet. Tianyun did not think too much about this. Anyway, the supreme grass was the most important thing for him. Then he checked the status of the token to see which area was marked as a restricted area. He was worried that the supreme grass he needed to pick was in the restricted area. That would be quite troublesome. I hope it's not in the restricted area. He prayed in his heart before checking it. After checking it, his face fell. D****. It's in the restricted area. Tianyun shook his head helplessly. As expected, it was not so easy. The supreme grass would definitely grow in a place with rich astral power. It would only grow in the right place and at the right time. The restricted area marked by the Purple Flame tribe must be a place where they often moved about or where there were more precious treasures. It was not that there were no good treasures in other places. It was just that this area was not only safe but there were also many known treasures. It's a restricted area. How can I sneak in? Tianyun frowned. He would not be able to move freely with the token in his hand. He could only use other methods to move the token while he could move freely. He immediately thought of puppets. His clone had been left on the desolate dragon star. He could not leave nothing on the desolate dragon star in case something happened. Now he could only use the puppets to leave with the token. Fortunately, these puppets were alive. Otherwise, they would definitely be found out. The token had a special function. It would inform the Purple Flame tribe immediately when the person carrying it left. Therefore, it was impossible to throw away the token and do whatever he wanted. As for the puppets carrying it, they would definitely be found out since they were not alive. Tianyun's puppets were different. They were alive. The problem was that the Purple Flame star was very dangerous. The cultivation of the puppets was low. They could be killed easily. Of course, this was not the main point. If the puppets died, the Purple Flame tribe would regard them as dead, which would make it easier for him to move. Then he called out the puppets. They were not strong. They were only Grand Star Venerables. However, it would not be a problem to run away with the token. Go! Tianyun controlled the puppet, took the token, and ran away. The Purple Flame tribe had not expected to have such a special puppet. Under normal circumstances, if one person had 2 tokens, they would be found out and the Purple Flame tribe would punish them. This puppet was not in such a situation. It did not have a token and was alive. Therefore, Tianyun could escape easily. Chapter 2337. The situation on the Violet Flame Star was exactly as described by the outside world. It was completely surrounded by a purple space. Both the ground and the rocks on the sides were purple. Terrifying purple flames were rolling everywhere. These purple flames were extremely cold. Even a divine star venerable powerhouse would be injured if they were swept up by them. They wouldn't die, but if they were swept up by the purple flames, they would quickly burn and freeze them. If they were burned by the purple flames, they would definitely die. From time to time, huge purple flames would shoot out from the ground in the area in front of them. They seemed to have eyes and kept pouncing toward Tianyun. Tianyun dodged the purple flames easily. His current situation wasn't too bad, and he wasn't in any particular danger. The purple flames that rolled up were only average in power. They weren't the strongest. If the true purple flames attacked, even a divine star venerable in the late stage would be in trouble, let alone a divine star venerable in the early stage. This place is really dangerous. The purple flame race can stay here for so long. It seems like they have an advantage in terms of physique. Tianyun looked at the purple flames raging around him, feeling quite horrified. Only a small part of the area was fine. Purple flames would appear from time to time in most areas. Some areas seemed peaceful, but if one were to stand there for too long, the purple flames would sweep up and engulf them. The purple flame race could stay here purely because they could control the purple flames and had the purple flame body. With the purple flame body, they could not only control the purple flames, but they could also resist the attacks of the purple flames and absorb them. Of course, if one's cultivation was too low, they couldn't absorb the purple flames at will. Even the purple flame race couldn't completely ignore the purple flames. If one's cultivation was too low, one would still be frozen into an ice sculpture. There weren't any demonic beasts or anything like that here. Even the plants were purple. The plants that could survive here weren't ordinary plants. Of course, these plants weren't precious divine herbs, but they weren't simple either. They could be harvested and sold for a good price. It was impossible to count on these plants to recoup their cost. Although the price of those purple crystal trees was not bad, they were not worth much either. Even if he dug up most of the purple crystal trees on the mountainside, he would not get half a star venerable level treasure. Most importantly, purple flames would appear from time to time. He probably wouldn't be able to uproot many purple crystal trees before he would be frozen several times. At the same time, the puppet controlled by Tianyun had already suffered several attacks. Fortunately, the puppets had managed to dodge the attacks. If they had died here so quickly, it would definitely have aroused some suspicions. Thus, he couldn't let the puppet die for now. Otherwise, it would definitely notice. The puppet's cultivation is too low, it almost died. Tianyun shook his head. Fortunately, the purple flames in this area were not very frequent. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome. At this moment, Tianyun was heading towards the location of the supreme grass. Concealing his aura along the way, he stealthily flew towards his destination. After all, their destination was the Forbidden Zone, and there was a high chance that they would meet the Purple Flame clan along the way. If he were to be discovered by the other party, there would be no way for him to explain himself. As he rapidly shortened the distance, Tianyun soon arrived at a special area. This area was different from other areas. It wasn't that there were no purple flames. They still existed, and they would rise from time to time to engulf the living creatures outside. The difference was that the environment here was even colder, and the flashing purple flames were even more dangerous. Once they appeared, they would be like a purple dragon that would crazily devour everything in its path. Without a doubt, the situation here was much more dangerous than outside. As expected of the Forbidden Zone, it wasn't that they were afraid that outsiders would die if they barged in, but that the environment here was different. There were more purple crystal trees here. Under such dense purple crystal trees, it meant that it would be easier for him to find precious spiritual herbs. Tianyun ignored the purple flames that were many times stronger than before. He snuck into the purple crystal trees and stealthily headed towards the location of the supreme grass. Flying in the sky was extremely easy for him to be discovered. Thus, he could only move under the purple crystal trees. Moving under the purple crystal trees would undoubtedly be much more dangerous. He had just moved a short distance when a purple flame suddenly surged up from beneath his feet and engulfed him. The extremely cold flames entered his body just like that, and quickly froze his physique and blood. However, Tianyun was already prepared. He circulated the energy in his body frantically and forcefully squeezed out the purple flames that surged in. Phew, the power is indeed shocking. Luckily I dodged it quickly, or else I would have been injured. Tianyun swung his leg, and the purple ice beneath his feet was flung away. Those with low cultivation bases would definitely have been frozen into ice sculptures by the purple flames. The effects were simply too shocking. This was only the first attack. Very quickly, the second attack appeared, and then the third. Along the way, Tianyun had to endure the purple flames as he moved forward. It had to be said that it was quite unbearable. For the supreme grass, he could only go all out. I'm almost there. Tianyun's eyes lit up. He was finally about to reach the area where the supreme grass was. When he passed through this patch of purple crystal trees, he saw an incomparably huge purple crystal mountain. This purple crystal mountain was like a huge dragon that circled around it a few dozen times. Upon closer inspection, it really did seem to have been transformed from a giant dragon. The supreme grass was within this purple crystal mountain. No wonder he could see that it was surrounded by sealed purple crystal trees. It would definitely be troublesome to be trapped by the entire mountain. Just as he was about to find a direction to enter, a voice suddenly came from beside him. "This purple dragon mountain seems to have loosened a little, right?" "Yes, according to the elder, the seal on the purple dragon mountain seems to have loosened a little. If this continues, I'm afraid the sealed purple dragon will break free from the seal. When that happens, our purple flame tribe will definitely be attacked. Then what should we do? What else can we do? Let the cultivators outside come in and help us absorb more purple flames. That way we can continue to seal the purple dragon." The two young ladies of the purple flame tribe were speaking. They were carrying small baskets on their backs, and it seemed like they were about to go up the mountain. The two of them did not have high cultivations, only early Grand Star Venerables. However, they had no problem dealing with the purple flames. They could suppress the effects of the purple flames in the first place. The purple flames that were not very powerful were like hot baths to them. "So that's what's going on." Etienne's eyes flickered. No wonder they opened the purple flame star to the other races. It turned out that they wanted to help them absorb the purple flames. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.